months. I'm getting real sick of it.
Nope. Rejection. Denied.
Because then I gotta find the mod view button again. At least this time it didn't change. It's still a sword.
Oh my god,
Sword.
They
why
just
would
changed.
you...
They just changed where it was.
Why, when I have had Twitch previously muted, would you think it's okay to unmute for now? I mean, I know why. It's because Twitch is full of fucking shitheels, but...
Yes. Oh, gentlemen.
Welcome to Big Tech America.
Hey, at least it's not Big Tech China yet.
May
Yeah,
never
so-
be.
Then the other fucking shit that happened today was, oh god, fucking. So this guy's just totally fucked. But like, we got a new customer, and this dude never picked up our calls like the 9 times we called him, and he's just like, now I have a problem on my computer and you guys need to fix it. Well, we can't fix it. Why not? That's what we're paying you for. Well, you ignored all of our calls to get our monitoring and management software on your computer. And you stopped paying your old IT company, so they removed all of their monitoring and management tools. Which means you don't have monitoring or management tools on your computer anymore. Which means you don't have an admin account on your computer anymore. Which means we can't do anything on your computer anymore because you prevented us from doing that. Oh, well, you need to fix it. Well, you can't.
Yeah, that's a little hard, man. We can't fix the thing that you told us you didn't want us to fix.
Yeah. So
It's not just that you
eventually,
didn't want us to fix.
yeah, kind of. I'm sorry. It is literally just that because what, like, you pay your dentist for whatever reason preemptively. I don't know, maybe you bought like one of those dental plans, you know, where you get like 2 free checkups and like 30% off on any sort of operation that needs to be done that year. And it's like, 20% off the normal price if you buy it in January. I know some dental places do that.
Yeah.
And then you don't show up for either appointment. And so when the next year comes around and you have a tooth decay and you need it drilled, you're like, well, where's my 30% off? They're like, well, you didn't show up, so...
Yeah.
See, I don't pay dentists ever just because I'm just going to let all my teeth rot and fall out to give me a further reason to kill myself, so...
Oh, of course, obviously, yes.
I
the
thought you
Asmongold
were playing
play.
I thought you were gonna play the long con to get like bionic dentures or something, but no, you're
I mean, that's also an
dentures.
you're going the lazy route.
Bionic
listen,
dentures.
If the bionic dentures are an option, I'll take them. But
I mean,
since
I don't
that
blame
doesn't
ya.
seem likely,
I
No,
hate
it's a
going
swamp
to the
thing.
dentist.
Man,
retirement plan is shotgun.
Speaking of medical
Yes.
stuff, Sneaky, I just read that article you sent me.
yeah.
I'm not comfortable with the fact that we've decided that to combat cancer, we're going to give patients super cancer.
Yeah, we're gonna
Wait,
give
hang on.
patients...
And,
Yeah.
and hope
So
that-
Why do you
hope
not
that the
send
new-
me shit that interesting?
Because you keep asking for non-political shit, dude.
Well,
Okay, wait.
political, that's medical.
Wait, hang on. How is that political?
Because every time I send you medical shit, we get into a big fucking blowout discussion.
Oh,
Are you sure
He
that's
can't even
not? Are
argue.
you sure that's not Rob you're thinking of? Just out of curiosity, like I don't know how you guys usually discuss political innovation or medical innovations. I know how you discuss political innovations. I've seen it. It's interesting.
Oh.
don't recall many medical discussions with Sneaky.
Well, yeah,
Positive
the last medical discussion the two of us had was the time that you said that my attitude is the reason why I have no friends, and you're not surprised.
Oof.
Bro, I've said that plenty of times.
No, you said that exactly once, and you were kind of pissing and shitting yourself while doing so.
Genuinely have no memory. I remember getting into a couple of arguments with you when you weren't exactly a picture of calm yourself, but
I'm never a picture of calm.
Okay. Anyways, so the TLDR of it, it's actually in the headline. They have found a way to introduce 2 genetic switches. One which turns on super cancer to overtake the old cancer, and the second switch is supposed to introduce a toxin that will kill the super cancer once it's done overtaking the
No,
old cancer.
I don't know
what
about
it
that,
is,
man.
No, so what it is we inject the cancer with more DNA that makes it procreate faster. And the idea is that the super cancer creates so much super cancer that it outcompetes the normal cancer. So then when we apply the next drug, it triggers the toxin inside the super cancer that it's supposed to create as part of this DNA boost that kills it all, which then causes a mass die-off. And then they're also suicide bombers, so the toxin's supposed to kill everything around it too. And this will, in theory, then also kill whatever other cancer remains. And somehow the person who we just set off a biological bomb inside,
It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, they're totally fine.
So
Yeah,
it's
somehow.
that old episode of Bugs Bunny where we have a mice problem. Well, we'll send in a snake. Sir, we have a snake problem. Well, let's send in a cat. Sir, we have a cat problem. Well, let's send in an elephant. Sir, we have an elephant problem. Well, let's send in a mouse.
Yeah, more or less effectively. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's just another one of those cases of I'm not comfortable with this process, because what if it's working fine in the mouse trials, but what if it consistently gains resistance to the toxins immediately because you made an engineered cell?
Yeah.
Every time we
Or-
tinker with stuff, something goes wrong.
Or, the obvious other alternative of what if
The
it
super
mutates
cancer
and
kills it.
stops? Well, yes. But I was going to say the other obvious outcome, which is the super cancer mutates because it's rapidly growing and stops producing the toxin.
Ah, yes, that is also a problem.
Because, toxins cost energy. And energy can be better spent on making more super cancer. And so
Or
why
growing.
would the cell have any evolutionary, need to create this toxin beyond the first generation?
Ow.
That is what I don't trust. And they're like, oh, no, it's totally going to work. Don't worry, guys. And it's like, yeah, no.
Yeah, and it's totally not going to escape into nature if, somebody gets this treatment and then goes on to reproduce and have children, and their kids are totally not going to carry any residual side effects from it. No.
Signs being a salty bitch already. Hey, Sneaky, can I count that for the sign takes an L if I got that
you
square?
cannot.
Are you sure?
That would have cut me off of
he
two
re- he
entire
he
lines.
re-rolled his card. That doesn't count as an L?
It would have cut me off of two entire lines. That's some
Oh,
bullshit.
wait, sign re-rolled? Oh, no, that sign
Yeah.
takes an L.
Yep. Oh, I need to get.
So,
Also-
let me see if I got this straight.
You're
I'm supposed to take a card that gives me an automatic two entire lines on this sheet that I cannot get.
Yeah,
and
because
that's
some
the
of
thing.
us
You know
get
what?
orbs, and then we
Yeah.
don't get anything.
yeah.
That happens, brother.
And,
In fact,
yes,
in fact,
orbs happens.
yeah. You know what?
But
We
when
have
it
not
comes
had
sign
aimed
taking
at
L's.
Me.
Sign. I've been locked
Listen.
out of 2 lines on 2
Mm.
cards because you wouldn't take your L last week. Shut the fuck up and take it.
True. True.
Hey, I don't even have. Oh,
That's some
there it is.
bullshit.
Hey, at least you're getting to keep the reroll. You're just giving some of us a free square.
Yep.
Does, hey,
is
does this
also-
conversation, Sneaky?
bullshit.
Does this conversation qualify for okay, buddy?
No.
No, that's for the stories. Come
That's
on,
for
we know
stories.
this.
I know.
By the
I
way,
know.
Sign, if it makes you feel any better, you're continuing to fuck me out of a square because I didn't get that this week.
Well, no, honestly, I think the
That
best
actually makes
part
it feel a
is
little
that
bit better.
Kaz isn't here, and this is the one week we finally got Harry Potter.
True.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because he
Oh.
keeps asking for it.
Wait. Okay. So just remember. After we get that, just remember we did
Yep.
promise to torture Nose with Darkest Dungeon.
He has to be.
That's true.
And he's got to show up for that, though.
Looks like he might
True.
have skipped.
All right.
I mean, he also just shows up at random times.
Also true.
So.
So, the other thing I wanted to make fun of today, before we get in with this, where is that sign post? Sign, where's that fucking post you made about that fucking ass mad guy?
It's under fiction discussion.
Oh, yeah, I found it. Actually, you put the original stuff under story discussion. Because you're,
Oh, really?
cause you're stupid.
Oh, apparently, that's my bad.
So, sign, by the way, Atin, absolute victory for us. Sign has started posting, as we've talked about previously, Wandering Prince, Tanya Star Wars, and Tanya Outer Heaven to
Yes.
Royal Road.
And I assume
Sign
he's
has now
skyrocketed.
broken the top 800 stories on the website.
Yeah.
I can't
And-
wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait for Sign to start making actual money.
Right? Me too.
Eh.
I mean, he's made plenty of actual money from all the people that commission each chapter.
That's true,
I mean,
but
more money.
Considering each chapter is $50, and he's gotten about 30 chapters of Star Wars.
well,
about-
to be
was it-
fair, he wrote like 5 chapters of Star Wars for free.
Okay, but like between that, Tanya Outer Heaven, which is also like 25 chapters now, so that's like 50 chapters, and then Zuko is also like 25 chapters. So I mean, it averages out to around
I wrote
75
most of
chapters.
Zuko for free.
God fucking damn it, Sign. So anyway,
Zuko
that's
was
about.
You're not very good at this
Did.
making money thing, are you?
That's about. Look, I can lead a horse to water. I can explain to the horse why it should drink. I can show how to drink to the horse. But I
I
can't
wrote-
make the horse fucking drink.
I wrote Zuko as a stress relief project for fun and posted it, and then people started paying me money for it. That's
That is
it
how it
works.
works.
Yes.
Yeah, that is how it works.
And now
Uh,
I'm being commissioned chapters for it.
Exactly. So, okay, so we're going to go with about 65 chapters in total of commissioned works from the 3 stories, which comes out to a actually fairly impressive, like, $300. Sorry, not $300. Wow, $3,000. So, I mean, that's like a month's pay.
It's a pretty good
That's
chunk
pretty
of
good.
change.
Yeah, pretty good.
And that's not including all the people who subbed.
No, true.
specifically
Yeah,
For those stories.
true. Monthly income.
How many?
best.
How many words is that?
Around 75 chapters in total, with 5K words each. That's going to come out to around like 200 and.
No, that's 375,000. Sign, you've written nearly 4 books, and gotta be honest, man, you could have published something probably. And
Oh.
had a decent
I'm
paycheck.
aware.
See, the ironic part is all of these commissions have been preventing him from writing his actual original story, and where he shamelessly rips off Wuxia novels and tries to write his own sexual-themed one.
Like that will do well.
Actually,
I mean, if he puts it on Royal Road, it might.
I won't.
No, no,
well,
no,
Royal
no, hang
Road
on.
doesn't allow that.
Sneaky, that is in fact a very, very well-known trope in Wuxia novels. Is young master fucks around and, well, just fucks around, fucks everyone. That is one of their
Yes.
tropes.
Young Master fucks everyone typically isn't, I mean, always literal. but also
But
typically
it's-
isn't the entire premise of the story,
True.
which it is.
But it's also Young
you.
Master's an asshole, whereas in this case it's not.
So, other than
Wow.
that, do you guys know Noodle Hammer?
Yeah.
Alvor, are you in a toilet?
Yeah, he's
No.
currently kidnapping one of the children.
Yeah, I'd say several of us in here probably read
No,
something.
Noodle Hammer makes his living off of commissions and his published adult novels.
Yes.
Gotcha. So no. Just I'm saying, if Sign can get that to work for him, he can make a good living.
Oh no. See, the problem is that RLC, it's his most liked porn story, but that's like saying like, you know, Hillary Clinton is the most liked Democrat.
I remind you guys, Cambion makes like $1 million a year, some crazy stuff like that.
Right.
Sorry, who?
My point is
Cambrian?
that, yeah, Cambrian. My point is that
Cambrian.
Sign writes terrible porn.
Oh.
Yeah.
Never mind then. Womp womp. Sorry, Sign.
Yeah, that's
Your
always
smut is bad, and you should feel bad.
that's always the catch-22 of this. Is he wants to write the corn, but
His skill is
consistently
terrible.
deliver- he
He's a
consistently
good
has better
author
results
if he's not
with-
writing the porn.
Yeah.
When he writes the porn, he thinks of his dick a little bit too much.
Oh my god, no. You could just use a bit of fade to blacks and just the soft moans and sighs. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Oh no.
Stuff like instead of
So we literally had Toaster Fucker in Chief actually has a girlfriend. We were all shocked. And his girlfriend read Sign's porn, and that's exactly what she told him, is that there isn't enough emotion in the porn, it's just raw sex and boring.
See, that's the thing. If I say anything, go ahead and ban me. I'm not gonna be vulgar, but women usually prefer there to be a very significant element of romance.
Oh yeah, no, we've talked about it before, the
yeah.
Hallmark schlock,
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how.
No, we have
closely
covered
I need to tread that
Hallmark.
line, not to miss.
Yeah,
This is
no,
a-
we
No, so-
have gone over it quite significantly. It's just a case of, you know, when Sign starts getting in the mood to write porn, you know, it's not his hand that's on the mouse.
Listen, no, Sign. It's you're writing like a guy. You gotta write like a chick, man.
I mean, he's halfway
I can't
there.
Be something. Fuck you, Sneaky. I can't be something I'm not.
It's simple. Can you spin the apple in your brain?
I
No,
can spin the apple in my brain. That doesn't mean I like to write like a chick, okay?
Listen. I can go get you a comedy set by Cat Williams. He explains how this works with Shiraz and silk pillow cushions.
Yeah, listen, I don't. Okay, I'm not gonna stand here and pretend to be an amazing writer, but in much the same way that, you know, giving a woman a good time is not that difficult if you've got a heart, a soul, and you pay attention to the noises they're making. Writing porn is not that. Writing porn that people want to read is not gonna be that hard, brother.
No, it is.
No,
because the audience is 2/3 of your audience will always be virgins.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
The massive
half of your
problem with
audience-
porn. Yeah.
Yeah. And half of your audience will want stuff that just you can't do safely. I remember one time I got asked, because I swing both ways. I actually do it in real life. If gay sex between men led to you needing to have a diaper later in life, and
What?
no, it doesn't. That comes from tearing the muscles in your butt, and especially your sphincter. And
This is cursed knowledge. I didn't need to know, but okay, continue.
This is. I got asked this in Sneaky server one day.
I don't. Why?
And so
Why is
This
how
is
long
my
ago-
server.
Yeah.
Oh,
first
I'm
of all,
sorry.
this
The
is server.
SDM.
It's hard.
Congratulations,
Sorry.
Sneaky.
I'm sorry.
I have inherited the server by right of conquest. The manlet has been defeated.
By right of cursed knowledge. No. And so that's the thing is even people who are active do dumb things or get talked into dumb things or into dumb things.
I mean, it's not just getting
so-
into dumb things. It's also, you know,
Getting dumb things
if
into
you're
you.
too active, you kind of inoculate yourself to the highs, and you get bored doing the same thing over and over again. So you try to experiment, and you know, I mean, this isn't just with sex. This is quite literally every activity a human can participate in.
Yeah,
Yes.
like I got bored of Irish breakfast tea, and that used to be I had a cup or two of that every morning for like 3 years, and now I don't really like it. And
You got burnt out.
yeah, just I drank too much of it. Now I have Earl Grey and jasmine. But no, the thing is as someone who did write some not safe for work material that actually received a pretty good response over on QQ. Um, I my biggest suggestion is if you're ever going to show something on screen, have it advance the plot, have it develop the character. It doesn't matter whether it's smut or not.
And at the end of the day, Max has heard me say this before. That is one of the only reasons why I can actually even read Noodlehammer's stories half the time, is because despite all the sex that occurs in his stories, 90% of the time it's actually relevant to what's going on in the story.
90%. I edited his Wormhammer story, and it's slightly awkward reading that material when it's written by someone you've known for several years and speak to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be a weird one.
It is a little weird. Yeah.
No, I understand because to him it's nothing. He is. I don't want to say he's autistic. I want to say he's emotionally dead, but not.
I mean, look, he's Eastern European, so you know.
He's from the Balkans, actually.
Oh,
Yeah. And he'll proudly inform you that no, he's not from the Balkans. The Balkans starts at the southern border of his country.
I'm sure he will.
If it borders your country, you are in the Balkans.
Huh.
No, it's a joke. It's a discussion
Yeah.
we've had before. Every country in the Balkans will tell you the Balkans starts at the southern border of their country. No,
Except for
So-
Russia, which considers all of the Balkans Russia.
pretty much.
Of course.
No, but to circle back to Noodlehammer.
Yeah.
When he was writing the Wormhammer story, there were a few scenes that were a bit much.
Yeah,
But
there was, because, I mean, you know, Warhammer.
that's the point. It was showing that the character, in this case Taylor, literally could not control herself. It was like a drug eating away at her humanity. I will take like 49% credit for the priest getting the screen time he did.
That priest has been a fantastic addition.
yes.
Thank you. In the first draft, he only came up like once or twice the whole story, but I was like, hey, that's a very important emotional anchor for Taylor. That's something that's going to really help compare and contrast.
Oh, yeah,
it'll help
you
give a
always
bit of
need a
depth.
foil. You always need a
Yes.
foil in the story.
Unfortunately, I didn't actually offer much feedback on his epilogue.
Hmm.
No. My sister's in the
Epilogue
hospital
was
right now.
fine.
It is what it is.
He had a mini stroke, the doctors think. And so,
Oh, jeez.
yeah, I was up there for like
Damn, what
or
is
4
it with all
hours
these
a day.
fucking people? And you got fucking Infanticus is cancer, and Noodlehammer's getting strokes, and
Oh, it's
here
cancer?
Gray and I are still not fucking
No,
dying.
my sister.
Oh,
my
your
sister had
sister
a
had a stroke. Okay.
No. She's 23 and she had a fucking stroke at work, and so
You know,
I'm-
did she get the vax?
nah, dude, I didn't even think to ask at the time.
Because, I mean, my dad had a heart attack because of it, so.
No, I was up there for several hours a day, and I'm home, and I'm probably not going to sleep tonight. But
Oh, yeah.
no,
I'm sorry, man.
It
anyways,
is what it is.
no. I'm just my brain's bouncing, and I'm actually probably gonna need to mute myself again just so I can go chill or something. But
Yeah.
what
Go
I was
take
trying
care
to
of it.
say is that Noodlehammer initially did not plan for the story to end like it was. Like a whole bunch of people like reviewing saying, "Oh my god, you just wanted to do big death." And he actually explained to me that, hey, I had these plans, and then I realized I'd written the story in such a way that Taylor had gotten so powerful so quickly, things had escalated, that no one in setting would not respond to the degree they responded. And
Yeah,
so
Greg. We totally don't know about that, right, Greg?
yeah.
Yeah.
So Noodle didn't just get bored and say, screw it, I just want to end it. He sincerely realized he had basically written himself into a corner, and instead chose to end it in a way that he found at least drove home the message of
Thematic.
the story, which is, yeah, you can't always nail everything down precisely, and showing that Taylor's need to control everything bitter in the ass and stuff like that. Good shit, you know. And he's a good author, and
Honestly,
if
I think when it comes to worm stories, well, not post Golden Morning Worm, but canon worm. When it comes to canon worm stories, I think the best way for everyone to learn is actually to realize that the best way to end a worm story is with failure. Not
Or
the
at least
hero
Pyrrhic
doesn't
victory.
win. Well, yeah, Pyrrhic victory or failure, but I mean, let's be honest here. We already did the Pyrrhic victory, so might as well get some failure slapped in.
Sure.
You know, signal to noise.
Yes, exactly what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
So
And it's a lot of people, because I honestly, I think it's a good character lesson for the authors as well, because a lot of people enter Worm thinking they're going to be able to fix the world, and then they realize they can't because everything is just so much more bumfucking powerful than whatever they picked. Or whatever they picked became so much more bumfucking powerful than the rest of the world that conflict was effectively either over-escalated to the point where they can't fight it, or under-escalated to the point where there's no point in continuing the story.
Or the entire world turned against them.
Yeah, or their boldness or actions that the author initially had thought would be good actions to take that would fix things, and they realize as they're writing it, oh, actually it doesn't fix this. This causes this problem, this problem, this problem. The characters actually failing would be more on theme for Worm than everyone winning in the end and having the happy ending. Because Worm isn't about happy endings. Worm is about Pyrrhic victories and failures.
Or they somehow pull off a narrow victory strategically, but in their personal life, everything falls apart.
Yeah. And so
somewhere something is failing.
I mean, that
a price must be paid.
Right,
Yes.
and that's honestly the ending. I mean, I bring this up because it's a dead story, but you know, it still rattles around in my mind as you know, as the story does with authors.
Yeah, no, they're your creations.
The Worm story that Gray and I were writing, that we never went past our chapter 1 on because we realized we hate Worm.
Fair.
But the actual ending of the story wasn't going to be my character, because I was going to have my character be me through and through in a world like that. And I've said before to Max that I'm basically privileged to live the life that I have lived, to put me in situations where I haven't needed to do drastic actions.
Mm-hmm.
Because I fucking would. And by the time the story reached its climax, which was nowhere near the end of Canon Worm, the end of the story was going to be fighting the Slaughterhouse 9 when they showed up at Brockton Bay, because the end of the story was going to be me driving a tanker truck of explosives and acid into Crawler. And before all of that, though, I was going to kill a lot of the cast.
Mm.
A lot of
Just
people were going to
looking at-
die, and a city was going to burn.
Sophia
Yeah, no,
died.
it's
Chapter 1. That was great.
And-
it's a setting where everything is designed for status quo to prevail.
Yeah.
And that means anytime you introduce something which changes the status quo, something breaks. The question just comes down to who or what and how many eggs. And
sometimes the answer is yes.
yeah, no, it is. Shit, that's what I'm doing in Until Proven Innocent, the gay shit crossover. The Genshin. I don't know a derogatory term for Genshin Impact. I've literally never played it. Sure.
Genshin is the one. Genshin is the one I hear the most on other servers.
Yeah, Genshin is
Then,
the...
so the areas on Earth which would have the highest concentration of focus, let's say that, attention, would be places where Endbringers had absolutely destroyed it. In this case, the oil fields of Iran and Kyushu. And so when you have a macro hydrokinetic that just temporarily turned herself into a gateway to magical energy that canonically will warp environments, mutate wildlife, and cause massive changes where it concentrates, and it concentrates in places of immense negative emotional energy, well,
Ooh.
Iran and Kyushu are suddenly being partially remodeled.
Yeah.
And you know, part of it was nice. The oil fields aren't on fire anymore. But Iran, which is mostly mountains and mountain valleys, is now dealing with torrential rains, pumping out more water in a week than they usually get in a year. And that's going to be an interesting rush over. Kyushu might just have Godzilla show up. Not Godzilla, but they're called like corrupted elementals. And basically in Genshin apparently is when you get too much of that bad magic pulling in a single place, too much energy gets poured into them, they turn into monsters. Well,
and if the monsters don't get killed, they turn into bosses.
Yeah, literally. So, Taylor, who decided to fight the Ziz, fight the Simberg, did broke her powers a little bit doing it, was warned ahead of time, hey, I can't explain to you in details, but if you actually want to win this fight, you're going to have to take a massive gamble that'll probably kill you. And she was like, I'll deal with the consequences later. People are dying in front of me now. And now she's going to choose. And she's going to choose Iran because obviously Iran's the bigger problem. They're dealing with all this torrential flooding. They're dealing with all these problems. It's bad. I've got to go help people. I'm responsible for this. And by choosing Iran, by cutting off one of the three major outlets, she doesn't pay attention to Boston. She doesn't pay attention to Kyushu.
Right.
Then Long, who's been in the background doing things with Bakura, this time being very sneaky, very slow, very, very carefully moving themselves forward because of Taylor's actions. Taylor humbled Long on him patience. And because of their actions, she doesn't know this, but Boston is going to be in for a very rude awakening. Because she humiliated Long. Long wants revenge. So off screen, which we've hinted at a few times, he's been preparing.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yep.
And so she's gonna run over to Iran. She's gonna try and help deal with that. And then obviously Kyushu's now a crisis, and Boston is completely forgotten. Everything seems normal there, and she's got to go deal with the consequences of her choices in Japan. She can't let another island in Japan sink. They've only got two more. Wait, no, Hokkaido's a fourth island. No, they have three more. Oh my gosh. But with Kyushu's gone, I'm not sure they want to lose Shikoku next. No. So it's a simple case of every time she acts, the time limit on all the other raid bosses progresses, and so I'm looking forwards to Boston in particular, because that's going to be the one where it's just, whoa, what the fuck was this? Where did all this come from? Then the readers are hopefully going to be able to look back and be like, damn, you guys set this way back up in Arc 1, Arc 3, and fingers crossed. But the thing is it's Worm, and even if you have the literal powers of a god, every time you try to fix something, every time you push someone around, every time you hit a button, someone pushes back. Doesn't matter if it's the PRT just going, hey, holy shit, what if this person who has declared themselves a villain decides they don't like politicians and starts assassinating them? We need to start basically inbringer proofing every federal building. You know? Because that's a serious question. Taylor in costume made a couple offhanded comments to the mayor.
Of course. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, and well, the thing is the mayor who already had this cape, who very publicly killed another villain, show up at his office and discuss things with him. Well, he got visited by the governor of Massachusetts and the deputy director of the Secret Service, asking, hey, this Kate who has made political comments, do we need to be worried about her deciding to go to DC and sink it back into the swamp? And the thing is every time Taylor goes and does something in another country, by the way, she's going to steal the San Jose. If you guys didn't know, that's the most valuable shipwreck in all of human history.
Oh
yeah,
the gold, yeah.
Yeah, and emeralds. Because she needs seed capital to revitalize her home city's economy. But this is a teenager going, I need money. That's a lot of money. No one can get that money. I can get that money. No one owns that money. I'll go get that money, causing a major international dispute by showing up in another country's. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, no one's gonna say shit to her. They don't want to be killed. They don't want to get power washed into a red mist. And it's only going to be after
into a red mist.
Yeah, because I looked this up. Just because of the way the water magic works in Genshin, they don't behave according to physics. So when she killed Oni Lee, she had compressed a shell of water around herself as a form of armor. And when she flinched, when she reacted in a moment of fear because he detonated a suicide vest right in front of her, she released her hold on the water, and all of a sudden, several million gallons of water went from being compressed into about a 2-inch thick sheet around the outline of her body into taking up its normal volume. And only
he's flattered.
Yeah, instantaneously dead, just gone. And that was her second major outing.
They call it reactive armor, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And so when that's your reputation, well, they're not gonna come be like, hey, you've got to give that money back.
Yeah.
We found it in universe that because she accidentally spoke to Velocity, who had just happened to be on the console the first time Taylor did something, and she called her and was like, hey, I'm gonna go steal the boat graveyard. And he happened to just be pulling console duty for whatever reason. Well, Velocity is now permanently on station that if Fontaine ever calls in, he takes the call, because the PRT and the Protect, have gone, oh, you have a relationship with this individual.
Oh, that's
Makes
stupid.
sense.
I want to be clear. They would do that. They're stupid.
Yeah,
That's her
anyone who
handler.
knows government.
Yeah, that's
And
you've
so-
been made her handler.
more or less. Well, the thing is we were going to play this for a bit of a joke later on. Velocity has to tell her you have to pay taxes on all of that income, and so we were going to make it a joke where she is sat down with a pair of agents from the IRS, a diplomat from Colombia, Velocity, 3 lawyers she didn't know but apparently now work for her, and then
Okay.
officials from the U.S. Department of Treasuries, because they want to know how much of the gold she wants to keep and how she wants to handle its sale and auction. And then she responds with, "What do you mean sale and auction?" And they respond with, "Oh, you want to actually keep the physical gold. Well, you understand you have issues with conducting normal transactions." And it's only like half a month down the line she realizes, wait. I've actually terrified and pissed off tens of thousands of people in dozens of different agencies and departments in multiple countries, and they're worried that I'm just going to start killing people if they don't give me what I want, because that's what powerful villains do in Worm.
Yes.
Yes.
And Taylor is still human enough to feel guilt when she realizes those people in that room are in that room. In Velocity's case, because he does actually know her a little bit. She saved his life at one point. He knows she's not going to start killing people, but everyone else in that room volunteered to be in that room, knowing there was a non-zero chance every single one of them would be dead if she got angry enough.
Wait,
I
human enough.
mean,
Yeah.
it's
yeah.
the IRS. No one's going to miss them.
God damn
The
it.
thing is,
It is her
it's also
civic
another-
duty not to pay
Wait,
taxes.
Hang on, Alvar. Just a quick question. You said human enough to
She
Taylor?
will still be human enough, yes.
Yeah,
Taylor.
She would feel guilt like any other person. Like, as far as I know, the Genshin gods, they aren't removed from like human
That's
emotions
what
and
I'm
stuff.
saying. I mean,
Yeah,
power,
he is
influence, and
literally
evil.
saying yes, she is
Oh.
human enough to feel guilt because most people in her position of power and also being a villain are usually people
Okay.
who are mentally damaged enough that they wouldn't feel guilt over killing a shit ton of people because they got.
Okay. I thought he was saying
Look at
because
the
she was a
court.
god, she was removed from like human emotions and
Oh,
feelings.
no.
That's what I was.
mean,
That's
like,
what I
No,
was
they're
people
not
like
Greek.
the core of the mark.
I was gonna say,
fair,
if
but
anything,
I had to ask because I wasn't sure what his
No,
interpretation
no.
of that was.
yeah, if anything, the
no,
Genshin gods are remarkably Greek, especially Venti.
definitely. That's actually one thing I'm going to love about Postal Wars, because she was a theocratic judiciocracy. I don't. She was literally a divinely ordained god judge whose nation existed because of divine fiat. Her opinion on democracy is, shall we say, a little bit last century. She's going to.
Yes.
She sees it as quaint and a bit
Well,
confusing, but
I mean, I can completely understand the perspective, right? Because you're a god, and if you snap your fingers too hard, the person next to you explodes.
definitely.
All the
And-
water in their body goes poof.
Yeah. And so it is
I need a
very
drink.
hard to
Oops, I ripped
reconcile.
out Miguel's spleen.
It's
See,
very
that's the
hard to
thing.
reconcile putting yourself in a position where someone who you could kill without even thinking about. And I don't mean as in like an emotional way. I mean like I pushed past them
accidentally.
when I was in
Oops.
a rush and they turned into a paste on the wall.
It's
That's
a
what
Superman
First
World
Word-
of Cardboard dilemma.
Yeah, but I
Yeah,
can
that-
certainly
that's what
see from the
First Word's doing
perspective
to
of these
Taylor.
people why they would be like, why would I let a bunch of people who have absolutely no power tell me how I'm supposed to help them do their goals?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
and especially when you remember that these are beings that are infinitely older than humanity. Fossilers is 500 plus years old, and she lived for an indefinite but very long, and as I understand it, much longer than her reign as Archon period of time.
Yeah, I'm
before those
supposed to
500.
let someone who is younger than the fingernail clipping I
Yeah.
just did tell me what to do and how they think an economy should
Yeah.
run. Okay.
More or less.
Yeah,
On a more lighthearted note, Taylor was basically going to, when she's trying to stop the last of the ABB sex trafficking, um, is going to basically be told by Fossilors something to the effect of, "I don't understand why you have a problem with prostitution. Humans always have brothels."
Yeah.
And so the actual solution I want to go with that route is Taylor essentially convinces the mayor to let Brockton Bay be like one of those towns in New Mexico where it's kind of sort of legal but only in certain areas. So she's going to unionize prostitution in Brockton Bay.
Well, I mean, yes, that's what.
no,
the-
Lord.
I want to be clear. The most effective way to combat something like prostitution is to legalize it, because people are always going to pay for sex. People are always going to pay for drugs. They're always going to pay for alcohol. You might as well make a profit off of it.
Yeah, I mean, to a
And
certain extent, certainly. To a certain extent, certainly. But I mean, if you want to get into the nitty gritties of it, like legalizing cocaine and meth, those other very hard, lethal.
Well, I would say,
Well,
right,
see,
and
Taylor's
there
still
is, of course,
hypocritical
a logical ceiling to that, which is,
Yeah.
you let them have weed, you don't let them have.
which is
Well-
what Taylor does. She literally
Yeah.
is going to later on say you can sell pot, but no hard drugs. Full stop. Because I don't like it. No articulated philosophical reason. Literally, it is her
Because I
liking
said
Cannon
so.
saying, "Yeah." And I'm hoping that I can still communicate that it's a bit of childishness showing through, while also showing that you can have moral fiber even if you don't articulate complex moral positions. Which that's going to be difficult
Sure.
to do because
Yeah, it's going to be
That's
very hard,
difficult to do
especially to
normally.
the audience that is
Worm.
Worm fans. Anyway,
I do think-
we were talking about Sign, and we were talking about
Okay.
Sign's stories and his successes, not his L's.
His many, many, many L's.
Yes, his rare
his many
successes
more
amongst the
W's.
L's.
Right.
So recently, Sign has been posting a lot of the reviews he's been getting on his very successful stories on Royal Road.
Yeah.
I would say, you know what? I should actually. That reminds me. I should go onto Royal Road, and I should in fact just give Sign that little extra bit of a boost. I won't actually read them there, but I've already read
Review
them.
it. Review it.
There-
I am the man who commissioned these.
I'm the
so-
man
There
who
is-
commissioned this shit.
You might enjoy the comments, because some of these comments are really fucking stupid. Like, one person was like, how often are you gonna post these chapters? Well, they're commissioned works, little buddy. So what does that mean?
Yeah. Me, I break it down to think of it like a pizza parlor. We don't just make a stream of endless pizzas and give you one when you come in. We make them on demand. So until you pay me to make your pizza, your chapter, I'm not going to write more. Which is not entirely true, but
They don't
well,
need to
you
know
can't.
that.
You don't need to know that.
they don't
part,
need to
yeah.
know that. No.
But yeah, no, it has been some real fucking stupid people who were just like he gave the whole explanation of, okay, well, it's a commissioned work, so there's only so many chapters that people pay me for. But if you're talking about release schedule, it goes up to my Patreon subscribe star first, and then it goes to my Discord, and then I'll post it here when I remember.
Basically, yeah.
And And he just responds back with, I didn't understand any of that. I'm just gonna check back later and see if there's more chapters.
I hate that
All
Sneaky's
right.
using a southern accent for that, or what he believes a southern accent to be.
Which is not true, because he has actual southern friends that are not you.
Hello.
Yeah, I got plenty of southern friends. I can do this.
I got plenty of southern friends.
the accent he's putting on is them folks in the hills.
Yeah, them
That's the
simple
accent he's doing right
Joes.
now.
The Billies of the Hill.
The Billies of the Hill. That's a good one, Greg.
God damn it.
You're
That'll be the remake to the California to the Beverly Hillbillies.
The Beverly Hillbillies.
The Billies of the Hill.
You're
Nice.
welcome.
But anyway, yeah, point being is that he's got some real fucking stupid people showing up and leaving comments. And speaking of real fucking stupid people showing up and making comments, he's also got a bunch of people showing up and going, this story is awful, I can't believe that you would keep writing this story, it's terrible. And Sign's like, well, why is it terrible? They're like, oh, because you're not 100% canon compliant, because in episode 3 of season 4, the lion turtle showed up and looked to the left, and you had the lion turtle show up in episode 1, season 2, and look to the right.
By the Emperor. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
What
Oh.
setting is this?
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah, Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Okay, yeah, I don't know why you get some really particular people in that fandom.
Alright, so I broke it out for this guy. I laid it out and told him.
Hold on,
Look,
I'm covering. I'm gonna summarize it. Don't.
Okay,
Let me get
go
to this
ahead.
production. Yeah, there's a production.
Okay,
here.
go ahead.
Come on.
Make your production.
I'm making my production. So anyway, this fucking dipshit here starts off with, I think you need to rewatch the TV show. If you think lion turtles are just going around left and right, giving people powers willy-nilly.
I mean, kind of.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
Just kind of.
they kind of do.
Yes, they kind of do.
It's sort of part of their history.
That
Mhm.
it's
It's a
actually rather
pastime of theirs.
it's actually rather quite what they do.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but good sir, I think you need to rewatch at least one episode of Avatar of Korra where this is explicitly outlined that that's what they did.
Well, see, actually, they did that back in the era of the first Avatars, but they stopped after the first Avatar defeated Rava and gave up their role as protectors of humankind. Since then, they've never given their powers to anyone until Aang. And that was because he was also the Avatar and was trying to seek out a way to defeat Ozai without killing him. A very philosophical, spiritual journey, where one has abandoned their home to seek a better way, almost, one could say. Right, Sign?
Yeah.
So, it's completely unrealistic to have the last lion turtle show up and give him energy bending while he had abandoned his home going on a spiritual and philosophical journey to find a better way.
Literally going walkabout here.
And then he goes on to say, actually, him stumbling upon the Sun Warriors was reasonable. It's like, okay.
I mean, this was Zuko getting the energy bending.
Yeah, so
Yes.
basically
Right.
Zuko,
So,
who is currently a Sign self-insert, empowered by Sign's massive cock.
No,
I assume he's hunting Azula,
I'm
not the
passingly
other way
familiar
around.
because this does come up every few streams.
Yeah.
Why was this argument not based around the fact that the spirit turtles would realistically only go towards someone who is an avatar, and even more so, a spiritual person like an airbender tends to be? Why was that not their argument? Because that would be
well, you
much
see-
more reasonable than what you just regurgitated at me.
Yes, well, you see, what's actually going to be revealed later on is that this person is a massive Korra fanatic.
Oh no.
Yes.
Oh no.
And they regularly visit Reddit, so they know more than him.
Oh.
He has Reddit, therefore
So
self-delete.
they
So
God, I just outlined the argument you would use,
yeah.
and you just destroyed it by telling me that they focus on the worst part of Avatar.
Yes. So anyway, Sign responds with, yeah, I'm basically ignoring all of Korra's canon. We're basically just going to be using Avatar The Last Airbender for this story. Everything else, I'm going to pick and choose if I think it's cool.
Oh, hey, he has turned. You know what that means?
Sorry, what?
Oh, good.
No.
Just in time.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know, I
man.
was reading a I'm trying to remember what it was. It was an Avatar The Last Airbender
Yeah.
fan fiction. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was completed. Kid gets reincarnated into Avatar a couple years before everything happens. He becomes like a Fire Nation regiment mascot. Uses technology, makes Azula into not a psychopath.
Lotus or whatever.
Something like that. Yeah, guy's name's Zing.
Yeah, Zing. Yeah. I know the story you're talking about. Yeah.
Was a great read. Would recommend.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah. But anyway, so Sign goes on to outline how he is going to be using only Avatar canon for Avatar, and he's not going to be using any additional properties because A, he doesn't like them. B, it's an Avatar story, not a Korra.
No Korra, no comics. Explicitly none of the comics that retcon it so that Sokka winds up maidenless instead of with Suki, and so on and so forth.
And
I
so
don't understand
anyway,
why they did that. Was a bit of a
local
ladies' man.
retard responds
Right?
back. The classic author excuse. I don't agree with official canon, so I'm just going to ignore it.
That's how a fan fiction works. Also, in this case, when it's neatly separated, that's quite a sensible thing to do. Hey, I don't like this thing. Luckily,
it's like
this
if
thing is segmented.
Yeah, it's like if I wrote like a Star Wars Clone Wars story, right? And then someone's like, well, actually, in this obscure book published 15 years ago, they had this character share this opinion, and so he's wrong in your story. And it's like, well, I don't fucking care because that's not what he said.
Well, that guy doesn't exist. Oh boy, they must be getting so angry with the Tanya story. The Star Wars Tanya story.
Listen. I don't think
there's a lot of salty people. So
I
anyway,
don't think anyone who's a Korra fan wants to bring in extra stuff because Aang gets pretty spicy when he's talking about certain things to do with geopolitics later on. Did you guys read the comments about the Earth Nation colonies? Yeah.
So
I
anyway,
thought that was pretty funny myself.
If you're going to do that, you might as well just make a completely original fic instead of a fanfic. At this point, you're just writing a totally different world.
No?
Bro made a lion turtle show up early and give someone on a spiritual journey energy bending.
Like, I know you said that this person wants, like, canon to be 100% the same or compliant, but it's like, a lot of lore in Korra kind of undermined it or ruined what made some of Avatar's spirituality stuff.
Well, that's because they retconned a lot of things just so they could have Korra be correct.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, just as a fan of Avatar, that's how I saw how
Korra
felt
So,
and it's like
it's also a completely ridiculous thing to jump to. Like, I've said this before, is that I really hate stories that ignore major canon elements because the author, I don't like it. It's like, well, that is how the world works. What Sign did is a minor change that really doesn't have all that much proof behind it. It's like, oh yeah, one character told us that the lion turtle stopped giving people energy bending. And other forms of bending. Oh wait, except for that one guy who found a lion turtle and got energy bending and used it to take people's bending from people. Shit! Fuck!
Other people learn how to bend from
doesn't
other.
make sense because it's like they made the whole thing about the spiritual and human realms being completely separate, and yet in early Avatar, there's at least 3 to 4.
Oh, there's dozens of episodes that have a bunch of spiritual shit going on. Yeah, no,
I'm just saying it's like an example. Like they blatantly
it
contradict
was
each other, so it's like you can't really work with
early. Yeah,
Well,
that was hinted super early. That was an important
Panda one.
What's the word? It was an important intersection.
There was also the spirit.
Yeah,
of
that
the
was
lake,
that was literally
lady
part of Aang's job as Avatar. It's like, oh, by the way, if the spirits act up, you got to figure out what's wrong, and talk. You got to mediate between them. That's important. Which again, if that had been the argument, they'd have a point against Sign, but they don't. Also, Sign, I do want to point out their definition of fan fiction. From what has been explained to me, your Zuko story still fits.
Well, don't worry. Hold on. Hold on. It gets better.
Oh, I'm
wait,
sure.
there's more.
I'm not happy with what I'm seeing here because they don't know how to argue.
Oh God, no, it's hilarious. No, not at all. Not
they're
even
just
slightly.
mad in general.
They're just mad. At this point, you're writing a completely different world that has nothing to do with Avatar, despite like sharing 99% of similarities to Avatar canon. Like, when I bitch about shit, I'm bitching about like it's it's a Naruto story where no one has chakra in it. That's a major, massive change that would radically change how the history of Naruto would play out.
Yeah.
Which is not what Sign did. Sign made a fucking lion turtle show up. Like, if Avatar canon said all the lion turtles are dead and then Sign made a lion turtle show up, I would be like, that is kind of ass-pully. But that's not what Avatar canon said.
Like with the dragons. You could even make that kind of thing a good story.
Right, exactly. But that's sort of my point is that, the guy is throwing a piss fit over the smallest change. But get ready.
There's more.
Because it gets dumber.
I'm sorry, I was reading the comment about a conditional hypothetical, and I want to say that Sign actually has a really good point there. Like,
we're gonna get to it.
I'm sorry, Sneaky.
Don't apologize to Sneaky. He doesn't deserve it.
Would Sneaky apologize to you?
But no. Sure. Well, I apologize to plenty of people when they deserve it.
Okay, so how many people do you think deserve it?
Max?
Yeah.
I apologized to Aura once.
Yeah?
I called him a retard, and in that scenario, he wasn't, so I apologized to him.
Did you apologize to anyone else?
I've apologized to Gray a couple times.
Yes.
I mean, the problem here is that Sneaky's like me. If he doesn't believe he's in the wrong, he won't apologize.
Exactly.
No,
here's
the problem.
Recognize.
You will apologize. You can't say that argument when I've literally seen you apologize in person. This fucker doesn't. You could have a gun to his head and he still wouldn't apologize.
No,
yeah, exactly.
You're not listening to the important part. If he recognizes he's in the wrong,
oh,
you have
you're
to
right.
Get him to
I'm sorry.
Recognize this. That's the difference.
If I don't think I'm wrong, I'm not fucking apologizing to you.
Like it's very simple. If he believes he's not in the wrong, that's it.
Yeah, and he has these fucking delusions of grandeur where it's just like, oh, I can never be wrong. I'm Sneaky Devil. My
That
wife.
is entirely incorrect.
It's not delusions of grandeur, but he definitely leans into it when it's brought up.
Oh yeah, totally.
Fuck
Because
you.
it's funny.
When it gets
Anyway,
brought up, it becomes funny.
but sure, you don't have to explain anything to anyone because in the end, it's your shit-ass story.
Yes, that's how stories work.
So is that
I
count
mean,
as don't like, don't read?
Hold
No,
on, we're gonna
no.
get to that.
Don't read.
No, but I
Hold on,
do.
we're gonna
I feel
get
bad
there.
for this. I feel so bad for this person because I've made this point on stream in defense of several stupid ideas.
Yeah.
Usually followed up with, but they gotta follow some sort of logic.
Well, yeah, that's what I always say is, like, I'm fine with lots of changes to canon if you can sit there and tell me with a straight face why you're making that change, and if you're realistically, as it pertains to the story, not real life, realistically having that change ripple out as it should. Because, it's like the shit where it's like, fucking, I don't know, My Hero Academia, where, Izuku gets the power to, I don't know, win every single fight.
So canon.
Yeah.
You know what? I actually like that. He gets the power to win every single fight and just puts himself through a wood chipper every single time. Not like canon where everyone just treats it like it's okay. But he comes in with like, oh, 90% of your body was literally turned into powder. Holy crap. Should we be letting a child do this? And play it as if everyone actually was not okay with small children mutilating themselves with abilities they clearly
Well, I
can't
mean,
control.
what you could really do to make it play out in the way it needs to for that is you make it basically like a sort of path to victory, but you can't cancel the program. So it's like,
no.
What do you want to do? I want to beat this villain. Okay, here's the steps to beat this villain. Do you accept? Yes. And then it, like, guides him through perfectly through those steps. But if, like, step 39 is allow the villain to chop your arm off.
And the worst
wait a
thing
minute.
is, he does it completely 110% on board. Yes, I am letting them chop my arm off. And then after the fact, he simply responds with, "What do you mean I shouldn't let them chop my arm off? That's how I won."
Yeah, exactly. Pure Izuku way. And what he does is he shows up to every single fight, fucking full SWAT decked out, what body armor he can get, what tools he can get. He just tries to carry 99 options.
Fair.
But, and then you can make it really fucking dark later on, where he has to, one of the steps that he misses is like the part where he, does a backflip over this table, grabs the child out from underneath the table, uses the child to block the, I don't know, heat-seeking missile that's flying at him.
Oh, Jesus.
Fuck.
Use the child to block the missile. Okay.
It's like the egg, guys. You've got to break a couple of them now.
But yeah, you could go really interesting places with it. But anyway, so Sign responds, being Sign, and so then he compares his non-canon, totally slop work to the immense workings of major movie successes. Like, whatever the fuck Marvel movie just came out, or
Infinite
Cuties.
Flop Works.
It's not woke slop, it's canon, and you're not real fans. You give up, we've won mentality, as he says in his literal words. And then he says, well, what do you think fanfic is exactly, other than picking and choosing what parts of canon you approve of and which to ignore to write a story based upon that premise? I'm the author, you're the reader, I'm not holding a gun to your head. If you don't like it, don't read it.
There it is. He said it.
I write what I'm paid to write. and what my audience wants me to write, and Wandering Prince is one of my most popular stories. I'm quite happy to report a majority of people disagree with you. So that triggers this dude. He goes full on, like, maximum trigger mode. Because he proceeds to shit out 3 fucking paragraphs of I'm ass mad. Gets angry at him calling Disney woke. Sign didn't call Disney woke. Disney executives called Disney woke. In an earnings call.
Mm-hmm.
What on earth have I missed?
This
No,
dude.
we're discussing some dude.
We're still on the Spurg, man.
Sign's fighting a
God.
Spurg, but the Spurg isn't fighting Sign. He's fighting the shadow of the tree over there and losing.
Listen, I just don't understand why you would describe a fanfic as basically adding to or changing something, but when someone changes something, you say that's not a fanfic. I mean,
Hold
You
on.
can't change the things he likes.
It gets dumber.
Yes, it does.
As to what I consider a fanfic to be, it's about building a story within the framework of an already existing story.
So a fanfic.
No.
So, Sign's story. Taking an already existing world and adding to it or building upon it. So,
yeah.
Sign's story.
Yeah.
This can take the form of altering outcomes of pre-existing story canon.
So
Literally.
side story.
Or having a side story of canon. Of course, this usually requires the author to know what they are changing, so it still makes it feel like it fits into the world.
So side story.
So side
my
story.
You know, I recall an Avatar story where the whole thing was Zuko just stays as the blue spirit. It was
I
really
remember that.
good-
That'd actually be pretty cool.
Really good.
It was okay.
This guy would go on like a 20-page terrorist manifesto screed about how that was not a fanfic. Because
Oh, that's a claim.
obviously-
Holy shit.
Jesus, this
Do I even have Don't Like, Don't Read? Damn it, I
thought
don't.
we did. Oh, you were.
Oh, no, I do! Yeah, let's go!
Oh,
Rigged. This man rigs.
Yes. He
God damn it, I
rigged
don't
the
have it
I
entire
on
just
my
stream
love
up
that
to
he
this
opened
point.
I go on Reddit.
Little did you
love that he
know, I've
opened
been
Reddit.
manipulating events.
Sneaky, could you manipulate events so I can win the lottery next week?
I've been trying myself for that for years back.
Yeah, but do it for someone else. It clearly doesn't work when you do it for yourself.
You know what? That's fair.
Yeah, you do it. We can split the proceeds.
No, you're not included.
Ah.
I'm sorry to tell you,
Okay,
the
well, hang on.
compound is already set.
Okay, hang
No,
on. Maybe
no,
maybe
hold
we
on.
can
We
give
can
Sign a
take
check
members
on the
in.
compound.
It's just, Sign is gonna have to be not affiliated with us. We'll put him in a small hut. Like,
It's 5 feet off the property.
So
Yeah, I
you're
mean,
gonna
like-
sign the Boon Cave.
how reasonable would I have to be? Okay, so I would say maybe, I think 20 miles is too far for me to give a shit enough to drive to Sign. So I think we've put him 20 miles away from.
Now here's the thing, right? I can see, right? Sign publishes something that you violently disagree with. 20 miles is enough to commit a murder.
But yeah, but that's like 20 miles I have to drive, and that's a pain in the ass. So I'm probably not gonna do that.
No, dude, 20 miles is if you're going fast enough, 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's like 20 minutes though. 10 minutes there, 10 minutes back. That's a lot of time to not be on the computer.
Would you cool off in those 10 minutes to get there?
I probably would.
What would happen is he'd get to the door, Sign would open it, and he'd just punch his nose in, like, how dare you make me drive this far? And then walk
Yeah,
off.
pretty much.
How dare you
So,
make
so
me
by the
drive
time
to
you
punch
get
you
there,
in
you're
the
not
face?
angry about whatever he wrote. You're just angry he made you drive.
Yeah, pretty much. You don't
It
understand
starts. It
how
starts
much.
with being angry that he had to, that he wrote that whatever he
It
wrote.
starts with the murderous rage and cools down to how dare this motherfucker make me get out of my AC-powered basement.
Yeah, I mean, you don't realize how much I hate leaving the house, okay? I'm not addicted to nicotine because that means I would have to take 5 minutes to walk outside.
Yeah.
I
Truly,
don't
your
like
life
going
choices protect
outside.
you in a powerful fashion.
Actually, one of my favorite things to do, still drive out to the cotton fields and watch the sunrise over them. There are a few things as beautiful as just watching like miles of it. Just it looks like it's lit on fire. But yeah, I used to go out there and have a cup of coffee and a cigarette before I started my shift when I worked at a gas station.
That's a
Don't
fair.
blame you.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, you're already going to somewhere, so I get that. See, blah blah blah. Wait. The last step is where you fail by ignoring every change that Atla made to the world. Instead of feeling like an organic addition to Atla, it feels ham-fisted, where nothing fits, and there's only similarities of the places and people's names.
I
think it's
mean,
funny is he doesn't actually say how he fails. Like he
you
doesn't
know what?
specific
I bet this
examples.
is the dude that would hate the story with Zing, because that thing just absolutely shits on canon. Like, leaving
Probably.
aside the fact that the guy makes himself a harem with Suki, Azula, and Toph,
Yeah.
Good taste, yes.
like, absolutely shits all over canon. Azula's not a psychopath. The Fire
That's not
Nation
canon.
wins.
Yeah,
And here's the thing,
I don't know.
everything the guy does, it's well explained, it's well reasoned. We know who the
Exactly.
character
Yeah.
is. Like, he starts super early on the okay, we need to get Azula off the crazy train.
Yes, fair.
True. Yeah, no,
Reasonable.
it's
I don't think you can. Wasn't Azula kind of sort of born more taking after her father than her mother?
yes.
I think so.
Yeah, so the way the guy does this is early on his I mean, for want of a better word, self-insert.
Yeah,
Mm.
literally. Yeah.
No, go
His
ahead.
right his self-insert is has a strong, unique form of firebending because he knows what the fuck science is.
Okay.
And he actually beats Azula in a fight in an Agni Kai.
Mhm.
And Azula's like, this is right. Of course, she originally starts out with, I just need to know more about how he beat me. Definitely not possibly slightly interested in this charming young man who's a rising star of the Fire Nation.
No, honestly, that'd be easy to do. She was crushingly lonely, trusted no one around her.
Oh, yeah, no,
Um,
it's
well, I was gonna say, right,
possible.
but
It's
that's-
just you have to put a lot of time and effort and screen time.
No, I
Of
see
course.
how it goes. I see how the pieces
But
follow.
it's also important, right, because the guy has a regiment where he's using modern war tactics, right? Who gives
you
a
just
fuck
wrote
about honor?
sharp. Okay, you just wrote sharp. I dig it. All right then.
Yeah, no, like the whole thing is it's very well done. It's very entertaining. I'll be damned if I can remember the name of the story, which I feel awful about because I do recommend people read it.
No.
Focused
think
Fire.
Kai Lee was she the funny one that could bad touch you and cause
Yes.
the magic to stop working?
Yes.
She was
the gymnast.
wonderful.
Yeah.
I loved her back in the day.
She was
Oh
an
yeah, the story
airbender
you're
in all
looking
but
for at
name.
in is Focused Fire.
Oh no. No, this is a person, I think. This is another gifted child with gifted child syndrome. That's just why
This
they're doing
wait,
what they're
this
doing.
commenter.
Yeah, this.
Yeah.
Is that Mutalith or Mutalith?
Whatever the fuck.
Sorry
I don't
about
care.
that. I had a call from my family. Yeah, no, focus fire. That was it. Alvor, since you are currently going to be in places doing things, waiting, I would recommend that as a story
It's a good one, yeah.
to give a read through.
But yeah, I mean, the main issue
Yeah.
here, right, is he completely describes Sign writing a fanfic after I've run herd on him. Fucking rainbow fire Sign, seriously.
And the woke
Cannon.
I know. Anyway, the problem here is that he accurately describes what Sign is doing, but then tries to shove in right at the end that he has changed the definition of what he feels an organic addition is, and so therefore he doesn't qualify. It's like, well, you
So, yeah,
personally,
it's personal taste.
yeah,
Don't like
and I
don't
fucking
read
hate
it
that. This is why I called him a fucking Redditor. It's because you only see Redditors do this shit. Where it's like, oh, well, I have decided that actually, this objective way of determining if something's good or not, determined that something I enjoy is bad. So therefore, I'm going to use the same words, but put my subjective opinion in as the correct answer. I fucking hate that shit.
Common Redditor.
And oof, that's rough. And so it's just very frustrating to deal with people like that, because at that point they have emotionally reached a conclusion, and you can't logically talk to someone who has reached a conclusion emotionally.
As one goes, you can't rationalize someone out of what they've already rationalized themselves into.
Look, exactly.
Yes.
I want to say one thing about my sister real quick. She called me to pick her up and take her to the hospital, and you want to know what she led with?
Oh no.
I don't feel good. Do you think you have the time to come get me? Not, I think I'm having a stroke.
Ah, yes. Classic
And so-
sibling, I don't want to be a bother.
No, you know what? Actually, I think Alvor, I think that might just be genetic.
Yeah.
Because I don't think
It's
you
just-
really have a lot of room to talk, Mr. I've spilled chemicals in my eye and they're starting to sting, but I think I'll go to the doctor tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say
No,
that's true.
genetic.
We did have to have a fucking server-wide intervention
So-
Oh, okay.
of
Fair
go to
enough.
the doctor.
So I think it might just be genetic.
You're
Oh
both
God.
stupid. Simple
When
as.
she's better, I'm going to give her so much crap about that for the rest of her life.
As you
Make
should.
sure you tell her the chemical story first.
Don't tell her the chemical story.
Never give a woman evidence like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good point.
But no, no.
And there's a
listen,
difference between a woman and your. Listen, when she's your sister, they don't count as a woman.
No,
For
they
your
absolutely
interactions,
don't.
That's a fucking statement.
That's a lie. She will absolutely woman
You think they will not use that shit against you? That is hilarious. Let me tell you, as someone with 3 sisters, they fucking will.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
They'll try, because it comes to a certain point of I will be such an absolute dick about it. Like, one of my sisters used to like to borrow money from me, so I started charging her 25% interest. And
Oh, no.
she did it like twice, and then she hasn't in like a decade.
That'd do it.
And siblings are trainable. You can teach them better habits.
I mean, hey, look. Well, one of my sisters stopped making fun of me.
I'm gonna need you to not refer to your sister as trainable, Mr. Southern.
Okay. Big Mr. Chicago. Yeah, no, you guys like to live in real close quarters up in them big cities, don't y'all? Uh-huh.
Look, hey, look, Atin's brother is the most chemically stable person you can meet, okay?
No, my family is ugly, and not for those reasons. We're just ugly.
Nice.
Listen,
I didn't say he was pretty. I said he was chemically stable.
You guys have all seen the World War II Nazi propaganda about what the Polish look like, right?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh no.
We're not getting into that.
Yeah, whatever you're about to say, it's done. I'm not saying you're doing anything. I'm saying we're done here.
I'm just saying I look like the Polish guy off their posters. I'm not a pretty man.
God.
Jesus fucking Christ, Albert.
Jesus.
This keeps going.
I didn't know. Jesus Christ, I didn't know this was gonna happen.
Okay. Anyway.
I look like a brick with a potato for a head. I know what I look like.
We're getting
Good job,
close.
everybody.
We almost made
Of
it.
course, this leaves aside all of the other issues with your story, such as your terrible pacing, which, judging by other comments that I read that reassured my opinion of your story, seems to be an issue. But I'm sure you'll wave all of this away and keep on writing, and don't worry, I dropped the story the same day I started it.
I think what's funny is that they had to
Okay.
say reassured opinion, so that means you need other people's validations. Got it.
Well, I mean, they're a
Yes.
fucking Redditor. Of course they need other
I
people's
know,
validations
but
to make sure
it's
they're
still
right.
sad.
However, I am so glad you think your story is amazing and everyone loves it. I hope you continue to do what you enjoy and never lose your blind faith in your abilities.
The sheer sarcasm is blatant, but
The funniest fucking part is that he's talking about a story on a website about posting original fucking stories. How many stories are on Royal Road at this point? Something like 1 million stories?
A lot.
And you're number 880. Yeah, I think a couple people fucking like it.
Hello.
Enough
Yeah.
that they're paying for it.
Alright, I'll be there here in a few. Bye.
You leaving, Sign?
Yeah, I'll be right back.
So anyway, we're going to cover the last part of what Sign said. So Sign responds with just, relisting everything he just said. Laughs at him more, says, I have metrics, I'm right. People like my story, so fuck you. I don't know if he responded after that point. Let's see, did he respond at all? No, he did leave a review.
He did not, but he left a review. An angry review.
A very angry, a 2-star review, so you did enough to get 1 star.
Yes.
amazing.
And then check the review I posted below that for
Yeah,
Alex,
yeah.
man.
The first
be back.
chapter seems like something that could lead to an interesting fan fiction, and I was excited to see where it led. Okay, so if you think the first chapter was good, we're using that as the bar for everything you say from now on. Which, to anyone who's read Sign's first chapter...
So everybody has their flavors they're into. I don't.
The
like
author has
yellow
really
Gatorade.
bad pacing issues and spends a large portion of the... he's saying this right now. Jesus Christ. I can't... Oh, he might have actually had a point if we let Sign do what he wanted to do originally. Fucking Rainbow Fire.
Deal with this Rainbow Fire? I genuinely...
So,
I
Sign
don't know.
wanted to give Zuko Rainbow Fire, and each color of the rainbow was going to be like prismatic spray, and where each color of fire did some sort of various thing, and he has like a purple fire that like deletes the people's soul and shit, and that was like Sign.
isn't that the
Okay,
Detective
yeah, no, that's a
Hitman?
bit much.
Sign, come here.
Wait, isn't that just the Hitman manga where the Hitman dude's like a baby, but they have soul magic and stuff?
Hitman Reborn?
I have no fucking idea.
Yeah,
I saw the story about a hitman baby, and I never read it. And I was just like, damn, that's a weird-ass story, and then I just kept never reading it.
There's some really good parts, but it is a weird ass story. Yes.
But yeah, so I brought Sign in real close, and I said, "Well, you fucking stupid, get that shit out of here." And so eventually, we agreed to not do Rainbow Soul Deleting Fire. At least
Probably
not
for the best.
immediately.
To be honest, all fire tends to be soul deleting. At least it feels like
If
it.
the fire is hot enough, even the soul burns.
Oh man, what was it? Fire washes sin off the soul, like it does flesh off the bone. Mama didn't raise no dirty boy. That's from StarCraft. I fucking love it.
None of the character relationships make sense because we skipped past everything instead of seeing the characters grow up together. So he's referring to the part where in Chapter 1, it was a very young Zuko who woke up with the cock powers. And yeah, that is what Sign called it. It's not referring to his dick.
Fine.
I can't make that joke, but no.
It's called Sign's Compendium of Other Catalogs or some shit, and so it abbreviates the cock. So he called it Sign's
made his
cock.
own version of the waifu catalog, and the acronym became cock. So that's what Sneaky's joking about when his massive cock.
I told him that he needs to make a second post addition to the cock post because he did post it to QQ. He needs to add a balls to the cock, a basic authored level list where it contains a large amount of examples of how to translate various games and fandom powers into the point values he uses in the story.
Good night, everybody.
So he can have cock and balls.
So when does he add the torture part to it?
FBI should be knocking on that door any second now.
That's paid DLC.
I believe that's just reading any porn Sign rights. Anyway, instead of building on the world of Avatar The Last Airbender, the author has made a story that is only loosely related to Avatar The Last Airbender. Despite everyone having bending and the Four Nations existing as they did in canon, and all of the characters existing as they do in canon, and all of the events happening as they do in canon, it's a completely different story from Avatar The Last Airbender.
We changed one thing I liked about a series that comes years later after this. So, it's obviously totally different.
Yeah, so this is obviously garbage. It's terrible. No one should read it. 2 stars.
This is a case where don't read applies, because there's no legitimate criticism of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's that much, if the lion, tiger, shark, whatever the fuck it's called. Lion, turtle, shark. Yeah, whatever. I don't fucking care. If it's that much of a big deal for you, yeah, just stop reading the story. It's a really weird thing to get hung up over, but yeah, just stop reading the story then, if it's that big of a deal for you.
I'm half convinced that the only reason they're getting so mad is because they just want to get mad.
Yeah, I think they just want to get mad.
They've yet to really list any reasons, like, even for, like, a Redditor, they have no real concrete reasons as to why they have a problem with it beyond, I don't like this. Like, well, besides the pacing part, but, like, they don't have any examples as to why this part of the writing is bad, like, the whole changes to the lion turtles and crap. Like, why is that bad? Why does it not make it Avatar shit?
Yeah,
they don't explain shit.
Yeah.
So
but anyway, so
Toph learned earthbending by LARPing as a giant badger mole or something.
Yes.
Like, if that is acceptable in universe, this is acceptable in universe.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. But you see, he likes Toph, and he likes that because it's canon.
it's just
Yeah.
I understand when you're writing fan fiction, you run into the issue of double verisimilitude. Not only do you have to have at least somewhat believable divergence, or at least a divergence that's a power wank enough that your audience is enjoying the power wank, but you also have to have the verisimilitude of, does the universe exist in canon as is presented and is comprehensible?
Yeah.
And in canon, we have multiple examples of people learning bending or gaining new abilities from spirits or animals which can bend.
Sure.
Like, that was the whole thing about the airbenders, is they learned by like imitating the sky.
Well, I mean, it's not just that; it's the sandbenders. Clearly, sand is not a element, but they managed to bend sand, and Toph learned how to bend sand eventually as well. And the sandbenders weren't good at earthbending. They could only bend sand because they had trained to bend sand. So clearly, it's not just an instinctual, I have earthbending powers, ergo, I can just create rock. They clearly have to train it, and I mean, if you have an entire civilization based on the idea that everyone can sandbend, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a very small civilization, but it is a civilization, then, you know, clearly bending isn't as clear-cut as everyone thinks it is. Like, clearly non-benders are not as rare as everyone thinks they are. Or they're rarer than everyone thinks they are. Clearly, there's a lot of people out there that could have learned to bend.
One thing that Korra did do good was the airbender dude, who was an absolute fanatic and perfectly grasped their philosophy.
Yep.
When he gained access to airbending, he understood this. He grasped it on a personal and an intuitive level. So we also know that. We know that people can have their chi unlocked or whatever, and we know that other supernatural abilities exist. So yeah, this is a setting that at least tacitly supports a plurality of approaches to magic, whatever you want to call magic.
Yeah, it's magic, yeah.
Toph learned how to metal bend just by feeling the piece of earth in the metal. And, like, there's a
You
fair
also
bit
have the
of shit
pressure
you do.
dudes, who forehead explodey boom boom guy.
Yeah.
According to Sokka.
He was apparently he was just a weird firebender.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah.
If you're a bounty hunter, you got to have some kind of gimmick to set yourself apart.
True.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
Good advertising.
But anyway, point being though is that there's clearly a lot of non-standard forms of bending. Hell, there is an actual oil bender.
There's what?
Canonically, an oil bender. Yeah, there is canonically an oil bender.
Huh.
I mean, there's
I know
the dudes who control vines. And
Yeah, swamp people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
so-
gonna say there's an entire set of swamp benders who are bending vine. Now, I mean, yes, I know technically they're bending the water in the vine, but like
Toph couldn't. Sorry, not Toph. Katara couldn't do it.
Well, yeah, it's clear that not everyone could, but
yeah, but that's what I'm saying though is that it clearly, blatantly, spirituality and mentality play a massive part in your ability to bend. So having the capability to bend, period, is the first step. But to bend Earth, you have to think like Earth. You have to have philosophies like Earth. You have to have spirituality like Earth. I mean, they literally have that whole episode where Toph tries to teach Aang to earthbend, and Aang is too much of a flimsy,
He's an airbender.
weak-willed person. Well, no, being an airbender isn't about being flimsy or weak-willed.
No, but I mean, like, his natural philosophy that he has been raised with of both non-violence and bending rather than standing strong, right?
Yes,
Mhm.
you don't
get hit,
stand
get out of the
strong in a
way.
gale. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Mhm.
and but I mean, it wasn't just bending instead of standing strong that was the problem. It was also his attitude towards earthbending, because a gust of wind isn't immediately lethal. Chucking a rock at someone's head is.
Yes.
And it's the
And
same problem he had with firebending, but in a different
yes,
way.
exactly. And it's why he had way less of a problem with waterbending, because
Well,
splashing water
remember,
at
I mean,
someone.
even the more aggressive aspects of waterbending, he did have some issues with.
Oh,
Like,
that's my point though, is it's clear that mentality plays a lot of role. And so the other problem is that these nations aren't isolationist. They have gone to war before the 100-year war. They, like, there was clearly mixing, there's clearly trade that went on. There's been plenty of events in the world where these various nations have interacted with their people going from one place to another. Just because
Yeah,
you're an
the
Earth
Water
Nation
Kingdom.
citizen doesn't mean you're going to be able to bend Earth, because your great-grandfather might have been a waterbender, and so you got born with water chi, but you grew up in Earth culture, you grew up with Earth benders, you grew up with an Earth-like mentality, and that just ain't how water works.
yeah.
And so
And
even though you do have bending potential, you're never going to bend because, hey, you didn't try.
The thing is, you're not going to bend like a normal waterbender. And I think this is a very good point, because Northern and the Southern Water Tribes had completely different bending styles before the
Yep.
Southern Water Tribe
Got,
got whoopsie daisied off the map.
Yeah, a little bit of genocide.
I think, you could say, hey, maybe that's the sort of earthbender that ends up like a mudbender or something, who focuses on not on because they also did this with oh crap, I used to know the name of the martial art. They based some of the different styles in different parts of the Earth Kingdoms off of different types of martial arts.
Yes.
And they specifically had a peasant's form of earthbending,
Yes.
which was based off a softer form of kung fu. You might see an earthbender, or I'm sorry, a waterbender raised as an earthbender develop a more flowing form of earthbending that then includes those sudden firm strikes.
Right.
Yeah.
Wing
But
Chun or
you
whatever,
would
maybe.
differently. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. You would do it with a different foundation, and therefore the end result would be necessarily different. Not unique, but different, like a goulash.
Well, I mean,
And so
we get a good example of this with the Toph episode, the Blind Bandit episode, where they have all of these different underground combatants, and they each approach earthbending a different way. The big fat guy was able to identify with earthquakes, and so he caused earthquakes for his normal bending style. Yeah, sure, other people who are earthbenders probably could do that as well, but they're not as good at it. They don't identify as much with it, so they don't get as much out of it.
and to finish your point though, is just because you can do something doesn't mean it's going to be good. Not going to necessarily be as effective. And
Right.
we see that with the hammer, and Toph defeats him by making him do the splits involuntarily.
Yeah.
Which I'm remembering now, and I've done that before. That's not a fun
Not
time.
fun, no.
No.
I used to do MMA, and that happened to me once. Thank God, only once. But
Only takes once.
And that was the day
Yeah.
that Alvor lost the ability to procreate.
No, thank God it wasn't that bad. I did in a sparring match have my opponent kick me in the crotch so hard it
Ooh.
broke my cup.
Mm.
No
Oof.
injuries, but it broke the hardened plastic cup. And
Yep, that's what it's
not
for.
surprised.
That is what it's for.
my guardian
Yep.
angel was looking out for me that day. No,
Yeah.
so
Hmm.
I think in Avatar: The Last Airbender, that is a story or a setting where you could have stories focused entirely on the spirituality of things.
Yeah.
And when you have, to circle this back to Sign's story now,
Yep.
a character who is searching for an alternate route, is
Right.
looking for a way to not necessarily act antithetical to their nature, but in a way which diverges from the norm. An energy bending, which, to be poetic about it, all benders bend energy,
Yes.
is that alternate form. It is a logical and poetic evolution of the premise of the story. Um, so this is not a criticism that can be labeled unless you want to articulate the idea that a turtle lion or a lion turtle, the kaiju,
The kaiju.
would not act according
Right.
to their nature. And
Sure.
their nature is to reward those seeking to go against the common grain, to follow that alternate route, to reach beyond their normal limits.
And not
I
only
think,
that, right? Not only that, how it all came about, because I don't know if you actually read the story or not. How it all came about was that Zuko is caught in a storm, and he is unprepared for it because he thought he had enough time to get to the next island, but the storm takes him by surprise, and he's like, oh shit, if I don't find an island to get to, then I'm fucked. Ends up pulling up to this one island that seemed to be getting closer to him, and he didn't question his good luck at the time. And he pulls up on the island, later on realizes it's the lion turtle, and is like, oh shit, hey, thank you for saving me from the storm, I really appreciate it. He cleans up after himself. He, gets his boat back into the water, starts leaving. The turtle, basically beckons for him to come closer, and he's like, all right, what's up? And then the turtle gives him energy bending. Because clearly he had differentiated himself and wasn't being greedy, didn't expect the turtle to just give him power. The turtle didn't just show up to give him power. It basically tested him first to see what he would do when confronted. So it's like, oh, yeah, sure. I mean, getting energy bending that early is a little bit, but it's whatever. It he still has to learn how to use it, which he does over the next like 20 fucking chapters. And even then, he had to resort to human experimentation to even start getting an idea of how to use it.
Yeah.
So it's not like he got energy bending and now he's suddenly, fucking Jackie Chan of the bender.
Yeah.
No, see, well, explain, what do you mean by human experimentation? Do you mean experimenting on enemies?
He went to go fight some pirates and then ripped out the energy of their bending from them. Because he wanted to see what would happen.
That's actually where I assigned, if I were to criticize the story, what I would do is I would attempt to articulate the idea that the forceful removal of the bending on those targets as a way to develop the insight needed to use it is antithetical to the nature of the power, that it should have come through meditation and self-experimentation, as well as a more intuitive understanding
I mean,
of the
energy
nature
bending's
of
energy
power.
bending. It doesn't really have a,
Yeah, it doesn't have a philosophy.
yeah.
There's also the fact that that is literally what it was meant to be used for, was giving and removing the ability to bend.
Definitely. I still think, though, that both genre conventions and general setting rules would have encouraged a
Well,
more intimate
all right,
look at oneself.
hang on. Let me give you the background. So, Zuko and Yue roll up on a pirate cove they're using as a base to stage raids on the local islands and basically the up and down the entire Earth Kingdom coast. Yue being Yue doesn't want to kill them. Zuko on the other hand is like, they're pirates, they're scum. If we let them live, they're gonna go on to rape and pillage and kill. Well, Yue really doesn't like that, so he's like, okay, fine, fuck it, we'll just burn everything down and let them escape. There's a couple of benders in amongst the pirates. He's like, they're gonna be worse than the other guys, but I've got energy bending, and I know it should be possible to remove their powers, so fuck it. Here's your options. We can kill them, or I can try and pull their powers. Yue's like, try and pull their powers. I don't want to kill them. Okay. And goes from there.
Yeah.
So his options were kill them, or remove their powers and let them go.
I think that works within the westernized Orientalism of Avatar: The Last Airbender. My only suggestion would be if you wanted to actually play something like that more true to form, then the removal of the bending should have been a lesson. Rather, their lives were already forfeit, whether or not they would be ended or not as separate. But that to remove their bending should give them new perspective. Because in this case, I would say the teaching would be that if you are not going to execute them, then first of all, Yue would need to bear responsibility for all actions of everyone involved going on from that on.
Oh, don't worry, we're getting into that one now.
We're
Okay.
getting there.
Okay, well, you've done very well for the westernized Orientalism of Avatar. I'm using that phrase because that's the only way I can think to express that idea.
I mean, effectively it is. It's a bunch of French people who made a show based on what they think Easternism is.
Yeah,
and in fairness, they got reasonably close.
Yeah, they got reasonably
from
close.
a Westerner's perspective, it's reaching a similar shape and feel of a thing, but with very different internals.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or as I once confused the hell out of both my father and my math tutor, I was solving a pre-calc problem and I showed all my work. My work was wrong, but I did get the right answer.
Yep.
Well, hey, you sometimes you just gotta get there.
It's probably the best moment of my my school career, succeeding in confusing people. But one thing that I've always wondered, what would like a firebender doing Jeet Kune Do look like? I wonder
very
how that
simple.
would
Basically Jeet Kune Do.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously.
Yeah, that's the thing. Okay. This is not me saying I totally kick Bruce Lee's ass. This is me saying Bruce Lee fought in a very specific way with very specific movements because he had a very specific body type. And so anyone based off of his martial art is going to look and fight a lot like he did.
Yes.
Also, I have like 120 pounds on him, 6 inches, and my arms are also like 4 inches longer than his. I could fold him in half, no doubt.
Well, yes, I was gonna say that there's a certain physicality to fighting that makes things inherently fair or unfair. That's why we have
I'm shit talking.
it's why we have weight divisions.
Yeah.
I know. I'm shit talking at and no. If you want to actually look into more personal martial arts, the big problem with them is they tend to be grab bags from a dozen different disciplines
Of
that
course.
people
Yeah, no
who
kidding.
have a lot of passion have developed over the years, and they're very intimate styles. And you'll notice that they work very well for those persons' body types. There's another Chinese actor. I can't remember his name. I wish I could. He was like very popular in the early 2000s. He developed his own martial art.
Jet Li.
It might be Jet Li, yeah.
Probably Jet Li.
Yeah,
I think it's Jet Li, guys.
It is Jet Li.
I totally believe you. Um,
Hmm.
no,
Hmm.
or it might not be a full martial art. It might have been a style. Um, but it's basically how to fight like Jet Li, and you have to have Jet Li's
Physique.
body type to
Yeah.
really excel.
There's also Jackie
it-
Chan.
Well, the thing is Jackie Chan is an acrobat and an entertainer first. Jackie Chan
Yes.
has a very enthusiastic style of martial arts. He also has a lot of training in boxing and not just drunken
Yeah,
fist
didn't he
style kung
train in
fu.
Yeah, he's
Southpaw or
put a whole
something?
bunch of different shit
Yeah, he
together.
did.
Yeah.
Well, I would say here's the thing about Jackie Chan versus someone like Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was absolutely willing to hurt you. Jackie
Oh,
Chan
yeah.
will hurt you if he really, really has to, but the man
But
is
hold on.
like the most cheerful guy imaginable.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
Jackie
He's
Chan was
great.
an entertainer first. Bruce Lee was
Yes.
a martial artist first. And here's the other thing: martial artists will always lose to boxers. I will make
I mean,
that hot
wasn't
take.
that the whole reason why Jackie Chan actually went and learned Southpaw?
Yes. And it's very simple. Martial art is there to teach you something. Boxing
Yeah.
is there to teach you how to hurt someone.
Yeah.
Um, and it's quite simple. There's a a famous Chinese boxer who, for many years now, has gone around and challenged every single kung fu master in China he can find and beats the crap out of them to prove the point that boxing and MMA will always beat kung fu, because kung fu is a serious fighting art, has sort of turned into a study of philosophy.
Well,
It's also
And
become very,
tradition.
very showy for the
well,
tournaments.
yeah, but that I was gonna say it's not just like, oh, he's like, oh, I'm just better, my style's better, blah blah blah. His precise reasoning was that he was very angry that these kung fu masters would go around preaching the philosophy of their special ancient tradition martial art, and they would grift the shit out of so many people, and like you had to pay for lessons, and then you had to pay for the next style, and then you had to pay to upgrade, and then you had to keep paying a monthly
Hey,
subscription.
you know what that sounds an awful lot like to me, Sneaky?
Microtransactions.
Scientology.
Oh, that too.
That-
And
Oh,
so he got really pissed because the other part of this entire grift was that these ancient kung fu masters were going around being like, I can kill people with one finger. And he's like, yeah, okay, bet. Let's go. And then proceeds to kick the ever living shit out of them. Now, to be clear as well, the government of China is not pleased with him because, well, A, they're getting paid from the grift. B, it's making China look bad. And
oh yeah.
so he has been massively censored by the Chinese government. He's lost the right to use trains. He's lost the right to use public transport in general. He can't
Social
get
credit score
loans.
too
Oh,
low.
yeah.
He can't buy a
Social credit
car.
score is fucked.
He can't rent hotel rooms. Like, he has to get other people to do all of that stuff for him. And they can't do it too often unless it gets found out that they're helping him, and then they lose the ability to do it.
Still, without dragging too much on the CCP,
No.
the point
No, please
I'm
continue
trying
to
to
do
make
that.
is that when you're dealing with the philosophy of a thing and when you're dealing with the practice of a thing,
Bing chilling.
fighting is very simple. If you want to get good at fighting, go get into fights.
Yeah, true.
It's really
Yeah.
that simple.
Well, and I will say the other thing, right? In martial arts, defense, more or less, right? The
No.
martial arts that are
Martial arts and
practiced.
self-defense are completely different things.
Yeah.
Well, no, but what I
And
was gonna
your
say, right?
defense
The
is very
martial
different.
arts that are practiced now.
No.
No.
I'm trying to articulate a point. But you finish first. You finish first.
Well, I was just gonna say, right? The martial arts, right? As you said, go get into fights. My point being, martial arts that are practiced now are not the lethal intent ones that were done 500 years, right? They have
Right.
been
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
deliberately softened.
Yeah.
No,
More
so
or less.
that's a bit of a misconception. Certain forms of combat, for example, let's take karate,
Sure.
have become very sport focused. That does not necessarily mean that styles have been softened. Not necessarily using the more technical usage of the term soft, but a lot of these martial arts were formed not only as mechanisms of self defense, but as ways to express very specific philosophical, political, and religious
Like judo.
tradition.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, oh hell, I love Samurai Champloo for this because it touches on the I think it's Mugen Budo, the Sword of No Abiding Mind,
Right.
which expressed a deeply Zen Buddhist philosophy, and in the time in which it existed, it was considered the single most um, powerful style of swordsmanship. Was considered to be absolutely unbeatable once it had been mastered. It was also considered absolutely useless because it was a style which epitomized an absolute duelist's mindset, which, if you're a bodyguard or a retainer on a battlefield, was useless
Mm-hmm.
because you were not fighting a duel.
Right.
And so,
The dude with the bow, 200 yards away, doesn't give a shit how empty your mind is.
True.
yeah,
No, he's about to empty it.
He's about to empty it in a
Pretty
different
much.
way.
I'm about to empty my quiver into your empty mind.
There you go.
So,
Oh,
to, to,
Ashigara moment.
to describe its most foundational technique, you do not exist. Your enemy does not exist. The enemy's sword does not exist. Draw your sword and cut. And so it was a school which could be considered to be the absolute pinnacle of foundational swordsmanship. There were no fancy techniques. There was one, but it was literally, if you're going to die, you can let yourself get stabbed in this side of your body and you've got a 50-50 shot of surviving. And also, I know this because I did this like twice and it worked out both times, but if you get your liver nicked, you'll die. So don't let your liver get nicked. I'm not joking. The swords master literally describes it as, I've done this twice and made it work both times, but you probably shouldn't do this.
Well, yes, I mean
It's
that
just plain
that
as
was
shit.
always the point of it. It wasn't like, oh yes, do this often. It was, well, if you're going to lose, at least make sure
Yeah,
you take this bastard with you.
and so it was a style of absolute simplicity and absolute basics, and then you put that style on a battlefield of several hundred guys staring at each other, and all of a sudden that dude over there has a freaking arquebus, and oh, you just got shot in the chest by 30 peasants. Good
Mhm.
job. And so, yeah, no, every martial art, everything we would call an Eastern martial art, has a philosophy. Boxing has a philosophy. The philosophy of boxing is hurt the other guy more than he hurts you, which is why the more sport oriented places of let's say sumo or judo come out of those more philosophical traditions, while the evolution of boxing was, it used to be two guys stood with on a line and took turns slugging each other as hard as they could. And I suppose it's the difference between something designed to showcase mastery and something designed to be an absolute brutalist blood sport. And even in that, there is an expression of foundational philosophies. Japanese martial arts in particular, because that's what I'm most familiar with. I lived in Japan, studied a few of those, though I spent most of my time learning jujitsu and taekwondo, which is Korean. Um, but the mastery of the body, the mastery of the self, and then the mastery of that which is external, of other people's bodies, flows and it is expressed in these actions. Well, when you are a good boxer, you are a good boxer so long and only as long as you are able to hurt the other person more. And there is no continuity of championship there. I think in sumo, once you become a champion sumo wrestler, they have very very particular rules of progression. I forget how it works. I believe it's once you have the championship, you are considered a champion for life. I'm sorry, I forget how it exactly goes, but it's to express the idea that once you have achieved a level of mastery, that mastery is then recognized in perpetuity as being something good in and of itself. It would be like if, hell, everyone's favorite Iron Mike. It would be like even after the Jake Paul thing, where I assume he got paid $1 million, go be an old man on stage for a few minutes.
He got paid more than $1 million, I think. I think I paid like 3 or something.
Shit ton of money. More money than I ever had.
He got paid a shit ton of money to throw a fight just so
Hey,
Jake Paul could
he got paid like 20 million to throw the fight to Jake Paul.
20?
Listen, man.
20, yeah.
What was this, government behind it?
The actual fight itself was, I think he was showing up for 3 or 5, but the contract that he signed was that if it went all 8 rounds, he got 20.
So he got 20 mil. No, and Iron Mike's fights never actually go that long because it was whatever. So
because he's Iron Mike, yeah.
Yeah, he's Iron Mike. The whole point was you're supposed to like fucking Punch Out managed to figure out how to beat Iron Mike before people figured out how to beat Iron Mike.
Yeah, no. The thing is he himself admitted that if it ever went past the 3rd round, he'd almost be guaranteed to lose.
Yeah.
Because he said by that point he'd be so out of breath and he'd be so out of energy, he'd struggle just to stay in the ring. And which is why he trained so hard to knock out his opponents so fast. Because he knew he had that advantage. And then sometimes he just gets a little hungry and he needs a little snack.
He needs ear blood.
He's a little snicky snack. But anyway, so to wrap this all up, moving on.
What I'm saying.
Yep.
Moving on. It's already 9 o'clock.
Fuck you.
Sometimes the woo nonsense has a lot of impact. And
sure, but like you don't have to go that deep for a fanfic. I mean, if you're gonna write your own Wuxia story, certainly go that deep. But if you're just writing an Avatar fanfic, all you gotta do really is keep in mind mentality and element, and what do you think when you think Earth? Earth doesn't move, except when it does, then it really destroys stuff. Okay, well there you go, Earthbender. It's not complex shit. People aren't going to Avatar either for complex shit. They kind of just want to see people throw around the elements and have cool wushu battles.
I feel like Korra is frankly an indictment of the audience more than of the setting.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. But then we also do have
cops. They were cool.
Yeah.
The cops with the metal whips and wires and stuff. Spider-Manning around the freaking. Yeah, that was cool as shit.
As a concept, kind of cringe in setting.
So we have a review as well left on another one of Sign's stories. This is the Star Wars story. Where a reviewer said it was bad storytelling to make the fascist Death Watch guy a hypocrite because fascists genuinely believe in the things they say and therefore wouldn't harm children because they care for the next generation.
It's really
Except
fucking
Lord
funny.
Buzma is not a fascist.
And me looking at all the photos of Nazis shooting children in the face. Wow, that's really interesting.
Then there's
Please tell
that
me more.
too, sure.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
But
Are
yeah,
communists
it's
doing it. Or
it's just
etc.
really
I'm
what
really
a curious thing to say is basically what I'm gonna go with here. Of
That's an
it's
interesting way of
bad
putting it.
storytelling to make the fascists lie because fascists don't lie.
What
Yeah,
an
Okay,
odd-
buddy, that's an interesting thing to say.
What
No,
did he mean
I
by
think if he's
this?
arguing for ideological purity, well, first of all, the Death Watch was never ideologically pure.
Yeah, no
the
shit.
They're also not
leadership-
fascist.
No.
Aren't they just a pro-military dictatorship? in
Also,
World
there's
War
nothing
II,
in
basically?
fascism that talks about saving children.
About to say, I'm pretty sure
yeah,
no
no,
fucking like
Sneaky.
Do you mean
policy
Italian
has anything
fascism, or
like
do you mean
Specifically-
mid-century Germans?
Yeah, but that wasn't
Like,
that's Nazism. That's not fascism. Because
well, no,
fascism.
Yes.
in actual Italian fascism, then yeah.
Yeah.
It was literally called the Battle of the Births. It was the idea
Yeah.
that you need to have a strong up and coming generation which would be inspired by fascist ideals. Mussolini spoke extensively on the importance of indoctrinating children, perhaps because he had been a teacher himself. But he spoke extensively on
What a curious thing to say.
What a very interesting thing to say, sir. Would you like to talk more about how Mussolini did good things? Or would you like to stop while
No,
you're
I'm
ahead?
not talking about
I'm not
that.
saying that
I'm
they-
just saying, what a curious thing to show up in someone's
Yeah,
early
no.
life. Oh, they really believe in the power of indoctrinating children. Also, they were a teacher.
Literally, yeah.
What a curious thing.
I mean,
How curious.
I don't know how what I was saying that he did a good thing. I mean,
Oh, no. So basically, when you interact with Nose, just ignore everything he says. He's always wrong no matter what comes out of his mouth.
Fuck you,
I
number one.
got you. Mussolini.
He's not wrong,
early
though,
on
Nose.
is,
I don't know
reigned-
where the fuck you were getting any of this.
I thought he was saying, like...
Bro, you are not tuned into the conversation.
Yeah, I am not.
So,
I heard
he
something else
declared,
entirely.
Yeah, we
what
know.
was it? The battle for the soil, the battle for the sea, and the battle for the births, I believe, which was basically Italy.
Yeah, we
had
get
to-
it. Yeah, that's not the point here. The point here is the person is
Yeah.
declaring that
So-
fascists don't lie.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
very-
not at
very
all.
interesting
Because
thing.
that's the core tenet of fascism is that the entirety of the doctrine is malleable in so much as it is useful. The
Yeah,
fascist.
if it doesn't serve the state, then it's not valuable.
Yeah. So
yeah.
no, 110%. If murdering a child is useful to a fascist, the fascist will murder a child. That is the fascist thing to do.
Yeah, it's like I said, the reviewer is just it's a very curious thing for the reviewer to say that it's bad
They're-
storytelling to make fascists lie. That's
No,
just...
I think they're 15, and I think they're trying to. They think of fascism as some ideologically puristic thing.
No.
I'm not gonna get into the mentality of this reviewer. I don't really care
Sure.
where they're coming from. I was just pointing out it's a very curious thing to say. It's a very
So you're suggesting it's a self-report?
yes.
Might be a little bit.
No. I got a few of those commenters on some of my stories about the Empire. Because
Of course.
I tend to depict them as, at least Kaiser, as capable of actually figuring out how to put on his own shoes.
Oh, truly the biggest
Yeah,
crime.
So
How dare you?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so by depicting them as actually dangerous and capable of achieving their goals, being a threat, obviously that's support.
That means
for,
you support them. Yeah, clearly you
yeah.
support them by showing that they are dangerous people. Yes.
Yeah,
that's how that works.
One of my
Many
commission
such
stories has Taylor working for Med Hall, and so like I tried to make Kaiser this really screwed up dude who's like, I'm basically going to groom this Tinker. I'm going to manipulate her emotions and thoughts because I want her
Average
personally
Kaiser
loyal.
moment.
Yeah, and
of
for
course.
some reason that was like supporting white supremacy, and it was just weird. But I also had one person who
Oh
thanked
yes,
me
you see, in this
for
story,
depicting
I
the
depict
Empire.
the white supremacists as the bad people, which means I support them.
Yeah, no.
How, what an odd
I
thing to
also
say.
had an entirely different reader thank me for depicting the Empire as being something other than drooling morons.
I'm honestly, so this is a conclusion I've come to interacting with a lot of people, is that I
People
come
are
to the
stupid.
conclusion that there is a vast number of people out there that have, not even a grasp of nuance. They wouldn't understand nuance if you tattooed the definition of it to their eyelids so they could see it every time they closed them. And the reason
Accurate.
why they wouldn't be able to understand the definition of nuance even then is because they're so fucking stupid they would never blink.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So, what I've noticed with a lot of people who are like this is that these sorts of people cannot separate the topic existing from you supporting it. If you bring up the topic, that means you support it, period. Because if you don't support it, then you would never talk about it.
That's not how that. Yeah, I know.
That is
it
how
doesn't
these
say-
people think.
Yeah,
You only bring up
If you don't
topics that you support.
explicitly say you hate it, you support it.
Even if you go and say, I hate the following thing I'm about to say. It is the most vile, repulsive thing anyone could ever say. If anyone ever says this out of this context, they should just be exploded by their atoms. Because this is the worst thing anyone could ever say. And then you say the thing, they go, oh my god, I can't believe you support it.
It's the I like pancakes. Oh, that means you hate waffles? No, that's an entirely different thing. Where did you fucking come up with that?
It's
He hates
related.
waffles. He's a waffle hater, guys.
It's very closely related. It's running in parallel to those people. But it is a separate thing. But yeah, no, there is people who are incapable of understanding that you can talk about a topic without being supportive of it. And so that connection in their mind doesn't exist. You can't explain it to them. They are too stupid to comprehend.
And Worm unfortunately attracts a lot of that part of the fandom. And
yeah,
if you ever get a reputation, they never let it die, ever. And
yeah, Sai knows all about NTR, doesn't he?
You fuck off.
Sneaky's in a rather foul mood.
Apparently.
No, this is normal.
I know I've somehow gained the title of NTR author, but I don't actually write NTR, goddammit.
That's the funniest fucking part of it.
Honestly hilarious.
I know.
Did it start in your server, or was that actually something that happened?
No, it started in his form. Yeah, no, it started on QQ. People were just calling him, oh, that's the NTR author.
The NTR author. I think it came from Swift's server first.
Probably.
I know, like, I think Crow
And then
or was
migrated
it
to
Oku posting screenshots of them talking shit about Signal.
Yes. Yeah, something like that.
Because apparently that literally will live rent-free in their heads.
Yeah, right. God.
But
like, I know we joking call you the NTR author on your server mostly because you like all the married female characters and shit, so we kind of joke about that. But
well, I mean, it's also just funny to call him
yes.
it, but
yes, that's what I meant. Like we poke fun at you for it, but
Which
These people
I
actually
get
mean
there's
it.
joking about it, but they actually mean it. Yeah.
You know, they
Yes, I agree.
genuinely mean it, and that's the problem. Is that again with these sorts of people, you can have them explain how they got to that, but there aren't words in the English language that they can use to make you understand. Because the path their brain took to get to these conclusions isn't a path. It's like when fucking Sans in Undertale teleports from one location to another. There was no in between. It's just, I hear something, this is my thought about it. What does this have to do with that previous thing I just heard? Nothing. But this is now my opinion.
You mean like the coded responses? Everything is
Yes.
coded these
Everything's
days.
coded. I have arbitrarily decided that actually everything you just said was fascism coded, and you secretly support it because you mentioned you hate it.
Oh, a tall man is dating a short woman. Well, that's pedo coded, don't you know?
Yeah, it's just
You
It-
fool! I have
there's
coded
no-
you as the soy jack and me as the Chad.
I code.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That is literally
there's
what they're
no
at.
logic. There is no point A to point B line you can follow. They just they don't have an internal
No, they have a
narrative.
conclusion. They have a conclusion. Everything is in service of reaching that conclusion. Everything must reach that conclusion. Anything that does not reach that conclusion is a priori wrong. Therefore, however they reach the conclusion is right.
No, see, that's assuming they have the thought capacity for that. They don't even reach a
They can't
conclusion.
rotate the apple.
Yeah, they can't even rotate the apple. They didn't reach a conclusion. There's no preamble to the thought. There's no post-amble to the thought. There is only the thought in the moment they thought it, and if anything aligns with it, it always did. If it doesn't align with it, it still does.
The eternal now.
There is no...
Yes.
There is no, like, okay, I have to take these details and turn them sideways and squint and maybe add a new z-axis to them so I can fit them in to make my answer correct. Those details just prove you're correct. Why do they prove you're correct? Because they do. You must be a Nazi if you disagree with me. And as Asmongold says, it's a Nazi point because you didn't see their point.
God damn it.
Fucking damn it. I remember that.
Get out.
No.
Actually, in the case of
Phoenix.
Asmongold, please get out. You desperately need to.
Please get out of my home and take a
Atreus.
shower, you nerdling.
But yeah, so no, it's 100%. You can't argue with these people. The best you can do is petition whatever site you post on to give you the power to ban them from your thread, because that's all you can do.
I will say, just sometimes it's unbelievable. Although I will say, the can you rotate the apple? I've never been a fan of that because, like, I suck at mental visualization. So no, I cannot rotate an apple in my brain because I have a very hard time picturing the apple.
Well, see, my problem
spinning
is that I can
3 of them right
absolutely
now in real
rotate the
time.
apple, but it's always the apple in the video, since my brain was like, oh, hey, that's a really good video of an apple rotating, and now it just plays that. I'm like, no, brain, I need to individually, separately from the video, remember what an apple looks like rotating. My brain's just like, yeah, but this is a really good picture of an apple.
Does it play like a really bit?
It's a really
song, too?
tasty looking apple.
It just plays really bit crunch Dota.
It-
Just plays the fucking.
Bro, it's easier to use this apple than make one.
Exactly, that's the problem. It's like, but no, this is a really high quality Apple image we have on memory. It's like, no, but I need to make an original one for the point.
But
Nah.
but we have a high quality Apple model. No, I need to make my own. Just use the asset.
Atin's suffering from make or buy problems, and even in his own imagination.
Oof.
Hell, man.
True.
Listen,
No.
you need me to fix a spreadsheet? Can do. You need me to slowly struggle my way through a logic problem as I cry? Can do. Rotate an apple in my head? Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Rotating two of them, Atin. Two of them.
I can rotate 2 boobs.
God fucking damn.
Fair.
I was handed an opportunity.
I was gonna say, before you made the joke, quick put a bra on them.
No, man.
Same
that
brain
was
cells.
a joke.
Sneaky. Same brain cell, different apples.
True.
If only you guys
Don't
could
worry.
share that brain
The
cell for
next time
Dota.
we play, I'll
Uh,
just try and remember that,
Impossible.
okay?
mm.
Okay?
Trying to figure out what Phoenix means by crutching on the leaf rotating. Just imagine an apple without the leaf, dude. Problem solved.
Yeah. Bro,
No,
the
because the
apples
leaf
around me don't
rotating gives
have...
it asymmetry. I dig it. I dig it. It makes it easier to actually track it, so you don't just have a perfectly
No,
symmetrical
then
apple
just
rotating in
imagine
your
the
mind.
apple with bumps into. Oh, you people are starting to worry me because you're all saying shit. I'm like, what do you mean you guys can't just make several different apples and rotate them in different ways with or without leaves? What is wrong with
Yeah,
you
see,
people?
sometimes people just need to figure out those little tricks. It's okay.
I
Now,
mean,
see,
no.
just
Let
to
them
be
have their
difficult, my apple doesn't rotate. It's in a microwave, and the microwave plate is rotating it, and now the
It
apple's exploding.
explodes.
Yeah, for some reason, whenever I try to
You now
rotate an
created
apple,
hot applesauce. Congratulations.
congratulations, you rotated applesauce. Meanwhile, my
Oh,
apple, for some
oh,
fucking
I didn't
reason,
set the
said-
timer. I didn't set the timer, boys. The applesauce is on the interior.
He decided to make it internally, and unfortunately, that turned out to be a horrible decision for the project. It has literally exploded.
Oops.
We used our internal resources. We have internal resources. That is the problem.
Phoenix, just real quick before I forget, man. In the case of your idea, you have to remember that the power structure definitely knows who capes are. They definitely know who organized criminals are, and it comes down to how much are we willing to push until we get pushback. So what I would say is it's considered like a sort of dirty secret.
Yeah, I mean, it's
It's gotta be.
yeah, it's like, I'm sorry, but when your entire upper management just so happens to disappear the same time the E88 capes show up, it's like, come
Yeah.
on, guys, come on.
So
Come
it's a
on.
little.
I would say there's
Oh,
probably
that's-
plausible deniability for like Kaiser, as in someone else has worn Kaiser.
Look, you can get a lot of plausible deniability out of all of them for a very long time, but they've been operating in the Bay for 40 years.
Definitely. And so I would say it's sort of everyone kind of knows, but no one says it out loud.
Look,
And
it's
since the
the
Bay's been
classic,
open
if they
secret.
say it out loud, they have to confront it, and if they have to confront it, that means shit's gonna change, and if shit's gonna change, that means their simple lives are gonna become complicated lives, and, you know, that's just a lot of effort.
And I mean, at the end of the day, the mayor of Brockton Bay has a lot of shit on his plate. Like a lot. So if
Yeah, he's gotta
If
accept
the
bribes from this
Empire-
guy, and...
it's part of being a mayor, dude.
if the Empire are willing to color within the lines to the degree Kaiser is, they're not really problem number one. And there's a million other justifications you can come up with to not go after them today.
Well, I mean, it's
And
kind
so
of
it's
like,
always-
you handle the Empire, alright, so what happens when the teeth show back up? Because now you created a power vacuum.
yeah.
Which is absolutely gonna happen.
Well,
The
it's
butcher
literally what
isn't-
happens.
Like you can't kill the butcher because whoever kills the butcher just becomes the new
Becomes the
butcher,
butcher.
but is stronger. So, you know,
Yeah,
it's
so
sort of it's sort of a problem.
it's like, oh, okay, wow, the Nazis, they're pretty bad. They
These
don't,
guys are worse.
however, hold murder parties where they go out and kidnap dozens of people every weekend and execute them in the most torturous ways possible, ripping out their bones and then wearing them.
Mm.
Okay.
You're also
Sort
not
of,
engaged in child sex trafficking.
Yeah, and the other guy
Yeah,
engages in child sex trafficking, so it's like...
I mean, the farm is canon. That tells you exactly ABB and wood chipper, and the fact that lung would heal from that for a long while makes it better.
Well, I mean, like, that's the thing, right? It's kind of just like, it's like one of those things where it's just like, God, we don't have enough resources to make anything permanent, and if I take out one bad guy, then a worse bad guy is probably going to show up, and it's just a fucking nightmare because half the cops are being paid off by each half of the villain empires going on here. And by the way, if we ever piss him off too much, that dude just turns into a kaiju-sized plasma dragon and can burn the city down and then walk away. So...
And this dude over here can literally kill every civilian in a 50-block radius with tiny metal spikes in their eyes.
Yeah, so it's kind of a situation of, this all sucks. I hate all of it.
And when you have a choice between Kaiser, who is relatively tame on the whole actual being a Nazi part of being a Nazi, he's a lot more tolerable than the Butcher.
Well, remember, Kaiser is canonically in there for the money specifically. That's all he's there for.
He's there for the
110%. But he still has to pay lip service, but that's all it is lip service.
It's just lip service, though.
Yeah, no, but he's not running around like intentionally going, we need to start, Zycloning people. He's like, I want my tracks and my tribute, and I want to be able to beat up people I don't like. The color of their skin is actually unimportant to me. I just want to beat up people I don't like.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be slightly euphemistic for the
no, I appreciate it. No, so it's a situation that's very impressive by Wild Bow, where he managed to write a story in where the least worst villain is a bunch of Nazis.
Yeah.
Right.
Simply because they only abuse animals and not literal children.
And the bigger problem is you can even include the main fucking cast, the Undersiders, in that equation, because they helped kidnap a fucking little girl so she could get raped and have drugs injected into her.
Oh, Coil
They were unaware at the time.
Huh?
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I didn't know Coil was,
No, he canonically
that was
tortured
what
people in
Coil
an
did with
alternate
Dinah.
timeline.
Well, no, I know he tortured that.
No, so Coil hired a known child rapist who was also a nurse, so they knew how to apply medications to people.
Oh,
and
good God.
he used their child rapist history to control them by feeding them children using his power.
Yep.
And he had this person take care of Dinah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay.
And again, to be fair, the Undersiders didn't know they were doing what they were doing so that he could get Dinah.
They didn't, but what they did do was take suspicious money from someone for an extended period of time, explicitly knowing that they were being used, because I'm sorry, but even, like, are you really going to tell me they're that fucking stupid that just so conveniently happens that every single time they go out and commit a crime that gets a lot of attention on them, that somehow Coil also simultaneously makes a move?
Yeah, no.
I mean, what's her... maybe
in their slight defense, it wasn't every time. And also the Travelers were, and Circus were also providing cover for Coil. I think
that's only way later.
Huh?
That's
what
like
I was gonna say
later.
was, like, I could maybe believe was it Bitch, the dog girl?
Yeah, Bitch.
Yeah, Rachel Lynn.
Well, see, the thing is, like, it's like she doesn't pay attention because she doesn't care. She just cares about the dogs. Brian is willfully ignorant. Yeah, I
Lisa
would say
shoulda
so. Yeah.
known.
No, Alec is genuinely broken. He is
Yeah.
broken on a human level. It's not that he doesn't care; it's that he can't.
He
'Cause he's
literally can't.
just um
And Lisa absolutely knows, but Lisa was also the one recruited at gunpoint and knows and is told by her power repetitively that her escape plan won't work because Coyle says something or the other that hints to her that he knows what her escape plan is, and so she has to make a new escape plan every single time they basically fucking talk because he's always fucking with her because he uses his ability to create two separate timelines
And
to
torture her and more and get
implied
the
do
answer.
shit like kidnap her and torture her until she reveals her plans so then he
Or
cancels the
rape her, which
timeline.
is also implied.
Also implied, yes.
So,
so-
you know, it is a genuinely horrible situation. They still bear the burden of carrying out the act.
Yeah, they're still doing it. It's like, I'm sorry, but it's at the end of the day. I mean, you know, Worm's actually a big, I don't even know if it's intentional or not, but Worm's a massive pusher of you always have a choice. Even if the choice is absolute dog shit, you still have a choice.
Mm.
You could choose to eat a bullet.
And hell, sometimes eating a bullet isn't even the worst thing that can happen to you. I love
Not
how
in that
Acid
world.
Bath was casually mentioned as liking to hug people as he melts them.
Yeah. I mean, you know, or you
like-
could, you know, be a Grey Boy victim, where you're
Huh.
perpetually
Yeah,
dying for the
fuck
next
that.
infant time. You know, very cool. Very cool.
No,
Not the worst way to go out, but
I
certainly one of the
I would
worst.
say when it comes to moral culpability, Coyle in particular obviously bears the majority of it. But that again, the out of the Undersiders, all of them but Bitch bear some. I just don't think Bitch is capable of reasoning like a human.
She
Not really.
She is, but basically she got the lexicon of dog language downloaded into her brain when she was a young child, and she decided that dogs were just way easier to understand, and trying to figure out humans is really complicated, and I already know how dogs work, so why the fuck would I bother learning how humans work? It's a lot like learning why most people in America don't learn another language, is because they grew up learning English, and they're now at a point in time where, yeah, they technically could learn a second language, but why would I really bother?
Never gonna
That
use
sounds
it.
hard.
Well, it's hard. I live in the United States. I probably won't need anything else. I'm probably statistically never going to leave the country.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just very much a whole understandable situation for her, because again, she made these choices when she was a kid.
Yeah. I think I would say after Bitch comes Regent because of the whole tortured and sexually abused by his own father, triggered. He's just broken as a human being for understandable reasons.
Yes, but that doesn't excuse the
No, I'm not saying
culpability
this
of their
excuses
action.
it. I'm just saying, out of the group, I think Brian, ironically enough, out of all of them, grew because he's not stupid enough not to know that whoever their employer is has massive ulterior motives, but he is fully psychologically sound. He just doesn't care so long as he can maintain custody of Aisha.
Yeah. I mean, that it's Brian is clearly the most culpable. Honestly, I would almost say Lisa is less culpable than even Regent. Because
Well, Lisa
Yeah,
is
she's
the
kinda been
least
forced into
culpable
it.
because Lisa is the one who
It's coerced behavior,
yeah.
but she also knows what they're into. She knows what the
well,
Undersiders are causing.
not only does she know what they're into, she knows what happens every single time she refuses. Because she even tells Taylor that she's got a pretty good idea of what Coil's power actually is. And if she's right, it horrifies her because she's realized what he's been doing the whole time to her.
Gotcha. Which might literally just be her shard going, hey, Coil shard, what do you do? Oh, that? Tell Lisa.
Well, it's not just that. It's also the fact that Coil can't stop fucking gloating. And so he'll drop nuggets of information purposely knowing that she'll understand what he means.
Yeah,
I do like brag. For anyone who's watching who hasn't read Worm, Coil canonically and explicitly uses his alternate timelines to torture people as stress release.
Yeah.
Like, he is a monster.
So Lisa
oh, I had a rough
knows
day at the
this.
office. Let's go fucking shank someone.
Yeah, so Lisa knows this, and while initially she was just coerced at the gunpoint, she does start to realize that he keeps hinting every single time. Like I can even see the theoretical chain of events that occur, right? You know, maybe at first she's writing it down or she's keeping a record of it somewhere so she can have this complex plan that gets her out of this situation. And then Coil says something that makes her realize he knows about the plan. So she stops writing it down on the computer because maybe the computer's tracked. He still knows. She stops writing it down on the notepad because maybe he has cameras in the room. She stops speaking it aloud. And eventually she reaches the point where she's only thinking this shit in her head. She doesn't make any movements. She doesn't, order things in a certain way on a, fucking corkboard or something. But he knows anyway. And she's like, okay. The only person you'd be getting this information from is me. And he seems to always be right.
Yeah. And he seems to also be targeted on thinkers, and thinkers can interfere with other thinkers, so he's almost certainly a thinker, meaning he's either super accurate precog, or he is something to do with the fucky-wucky, timey-wimey nonsense.
Yeah,
which of course we later find out is not actually fucky-wucky, timey-wimey nonsense, but
really good computer simulation.
Yeah, I was saying, but is pretty close. The issue with that, of course, being that if you are an unknown, right? Again, that's always been the biggest problem with Worm, is that, right? Me, normal man in Worm, right, does not have excessively, right? Let's say I get put into Worm with a completely normal civilian background.
You're fucked, buddy.
I buy a Barrett 50. I know who Coil is.
Ah, fair.
Right?
Yeah,
I know who Jack Slash is, and I know what Jack Slash does, right? That's always been one of the biggest problems with Worm, is that normal man with gun, the computer simulation cannot account for this guy has a gun, and boy fucking howdy does he just fucking hate Thomas Calvert's gut, right? It doesn't matter how many computer simulations Coil runs.
Because it's functionally an out of context problem that the shard doesn't consider to simulate. No, see that's the over problem with Worm, is because Worm straddles that line between street level pragmatism and fucking mainline screen time or silver screen superheroes.
Yes.
And most of the worst villains can be solved with man with a gun gets desperate.
Yeah, but Contessa is, of course, always in the background, keeping that from happening. Quote, unquote.
Which is something he did, like with the youth guard, more or less specifically to prevent a fake from facing it. Here's the problem, though. Any self-insert is now going to be a genuine, or not just any self-insert, but any crossover, a sufficiently out-of-context problem that the shards will not calculate their existence, as long as their existence isn't known up until the first time they act, yada, 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 yada. And here's the other problem.
Well, see, that's actually a funny thing. So that was actually the whole, like I said, I'm going to bring this up again, the worm story that me and Gray were writing, is that the whole reason why my character, who was guy with gun, got away with it for so long was because the Ziz was interfering with Contessa. In a very much slapstick, comedic way of Contessa, because this is canon, by the way, Contessa pushed a butterfly in the way of the bullet that was going to kill a cape, and this convinced everyone that guns don't work on capes.
No, you pointed this out before. If Jack Slash is coming to your town and is about to murder your family, you're not going to not blow up a pipe bomb in his face.
Well, that's the problem, is that canonically, that's the reason why no one tries killing capes, is Contessa did really stupid shit that convinced everyone somehow that trying to kill capes, unless you're also a cape, doesn't work. It makes no fucking sense, but it's whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah, like I said, it makes no fucking sense, but whatever, fine. And so that's why I had the Ziz interfering with Contessa in the same way. Contessa pushes the butterfly in the way, Ziz pushes the butterfly out of the way. As an example. But yeah, it's very much a story in where simultaneously everything is running off of Clark Tech. None of it's magic, except some of the stuff they do you have absolutely no explanation for. The powers are supposed to come from basically a fucking checklist of if you're on fire and you trigger, then your power ability is supposed to be like a changer form that turns you into fire. But, because now you triggered from being on fire, every time you use your power, which is now chemically influencing you to do so, you're basically, smashing your trauma button every time. And, that was the whole point, except 95% of the fucking powers that show up in this fic don't... Sorry. Well, I mean, yeah, it's fic. The 95% of the powers that show up in Worm don't even fucking correlate to the canonical way Worm powers are supposed to work, according to the guy who made Worm.
Yeah, no, I mean, look at Panacea. She was a butt of the Marquise, of the Shaper, and she triggered when Vicky got shot, right? But she didn't trigger with the ability to heal or unshoot people. She triggered with unrestricted biokinesis. So you have some that are hop and a skip, but then also, how does Gru get I shoot magic darkness jizz, and I might have a mild trump and maybe a brute rating?
That's a fucking sentence and a half.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Because then they, at the same time, also have Aisha, bud off of Gru, and Aisha's big problem is that no one paid her attention, so she triggered over a very long period of time, which should have given her a Tinker ability, but instead it gave her a Stranger ability, because fuck you, we're doing that now. And her power becomes that no one can remember her. And actually, the real reason why her power is such a problem isn't even because it's making no one remember her. It's because she has to actually pay attention to her power to turn it off. So because she's so fucking ADHD and wired up Zoomer brain, she literally can't pay attention long enough to keep it off.
Yeah.
Okay, that's thematic, but how the fuck did Gru get his powers then? Yeah. I am really curious on that one.
No,
what's the theme here?
I think it involved the Empire.
Yeah, right. It's
the Trump power means powers were involved. Which you think, Taylor would have pinged off of Sophia and shit, but no, so that means someone with powers was fucking with Gru, in such a way that him being able to slightly reduce powers and block vision gave him an advantage. So like that's a very specific circumstance of being in a physical fight with someone you can punch, so they're not really super powerful, or at least not directly super powerful, but also not so weak that you aren't so much in danger that you need a power to survive. So, like, I'm just like, did Alabaster kick the crap out of him or something? This is just kind of
I
what I'm
mean,
wondering.
his power lets him put people in the dark and cut them off from communicating outside, so kind of would imply he got ganged up on, maybe? Or
yeah,
killed
you know,
by
that's
Norby?
fair. Yeah. Yeah, but
With
like I
his
said,
minor-
it's, you know what? Night and Fog, that's a pretty good point. That's a pretty good point. It
They
might have been
didn't come until, like...
Yeah, they
later
only
on,
came
yeah.
after Leviathan.
No,
yeah,
not
well,
Leviathan.
Kitty
I
fought
think they showed
Crusaders
up
Go.
for Bakuda. Or right after Bakuda.
Right after Fog?
Can Bruce Fog
Yeah.
fought Crusaders Go to block them?
Can Bruce Fog what?
Block
Can
Crusaders
Bruce-
Ghosts.
I don't think so, no.
So because Gru can see through the fog, and Knight's power only triggers when people can't see them. I mean, it's kind of like a really big lose situation, because all Gru needs to do is blink once, and then they get to turn into the monster and skitter out of view and then kill him.
Yeah.
But assuming he doesn't...
Well, you still wouldn't want to fog them up, because then no one else can look at Night. And the other problem is that his fog doesn't really work on changer forms.
So Gru actually really did get his shitty power. Like I
Yeah.
love turning him into like an 8-foot tall chrome skeleton man in Mutant Bay. But like his power is crap on its own.
Yeah.
His power somehow screws with Sophia's, but I don't get how or why that works.
Because
Like,
their rivalry was after the fact.
Because
like,
it's cool.
She hated him because his power fucked with hers. That's why she tried to kill him.
Yes.
Yeah, basically, it works like that because he needed, a reason for conflict or something. Like,
Yeah.
the reason why it works is because fuck you. So,
fuck you, that's why. Okay.
Oh, so from the same dimension. Okay, well that makes sense. Why
I mean, yeah, I can buy that. Yeah, I don't even know if that's true or not, but I'll buy it.
I can see that being a word of God statement somewhere.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, does that mean Sophia might have been involved then as well?
Possibly. You have to explain the Trump effect at least. Maybe he was getting his ass beat or something, and she didn't jump in to save him or some shit. Even if he fought back. Maybe he didn't
like I
fight back
said,
or something.
there's some of these powers just make no fucking sense. Like, I can sort of see, because they do have the whole second trigger thing being easier to trigger and yada yada yada. And so, like, Alec is Heartbreaker's kid. And you know, so therefore he's going to be an easier trigger, and he's likely going to be a butt of his dad. Heartbreaker does some real fucked up shit to the chemicals in people's minds, and so he controls nerve impulses. I can follow the line on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alex
Even
makes
Sharon.
But like some of them, like Taylor, bugs. Yeah, okay, I get it. Like, oh, it felt like there were bugs on me in the locker or whatever.
So
but like,
Taylor's power is
There
what
were
it is
bugs on
because
her.
the shard she has. The Queen Administrator. This is all word of God, by the way. I don't believe any of this is actually in the story.
I don't think so. No.
The Queen Administrator shard is always a master power, and it strongly prefers to control many smaller things. It's also a core shard, and it's not normally supposed to be given out. And that's what it does normally, is that it administrates other shards.
Yeah, so when
So
she does get off the leash, she's a thirsty, thirsty girl.
Honestly, my
Definitely.
favorite variations of the Queen Administrator power for Taylor have been she gets the powers of whoever is in the radius of her aura.
I
You
remember
That's
that one.
mean a
probably
Trump
pure
power?
QA.
Huh?
That's probably pure QA. Like the absolute peak power you can get out of her is probably that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I thought that was a really cool story. I've read a couple of like them back in the day. They were really interesting.
Gotcha.
Control the Endbringers. Oh,
Yeah,
I
no,
remember
it-
that
it- it
story.
sure
That was
was near
funny.
Adalon.
I mean, remember, Endbringers
That one
are
was
just,
funny.
Whatever
they're
happened to
autonomous
Chicken?
platforms that are
Don't
running
know. Never
shard
heard anything.
collectives.
Didn't he die?
I know he was having bad health conditions, but I never heard anything on his passing or anything.
Who does?
The one where she can straight up control people was good. Oh, Monarch. I think I only read like the first couple chapters of that. Didn't it die or something? But yeah, I mean, like, there's a couple of cool ones out there. The real reason
Dominion.
that I've seen from Dominion, that's right. I remember that one too. That was pretty good.
That one finished.
Yeah, that's right. It did. The real reason that I saw was given by the word of God, of course, because God forbid you ever fucking say any of this shit in the fucking story. Is Taylor was lonely and she wanted friends or someone to come save her. So her power found as many friends as possible, and that was bugs.
Yeah, that sounds like bullshit.
Bruh.
You don't
And
puppet your friends,
then
bro.
she triggered again
also-
because now she knew how many bugs were around her at all times. And she freaked the fuck out and triggered
No.
again with multitasking.
So what happened is she tricked it the first time. She had a massively shitty power. And it did not get her out of the situation. So she was still stuck in the locker, but now she had a massive amount of unmanaged sensory input. And that's when she had a full-on psychotic break. This
Yes.
wasn't like a temper tantrum. This was
Yeah,
that's why she was in the
actual
hospital for a
genuine
week.
psychotic break. Yes, I know.
Yeah.
So Sneaky made it sound funny, but it was a genuinely horrific experience.
I mean, that is kind of the
Though-
point of, fuck that.
Assuming she didn't die instantly upon getting squeezed in this tiny locker, which, maybe that's what Worm was. She died immediately, and everything after that was
Everything.
zero fire.
I actually read
It's a
a
death
story
dream.
where that was actually the premise of the story, is that
that'd be cool.
Taylor got locked in the locker. Her head, when she was struggling, bashed itself on that little fucking coat hanger they put in the locker, the little tiny metal hook,
Yeah.
Oh, that little bastard thing.
Yeah, she bashed her head on that and bled out and died in the locker. And actually, the entirety of Worm Canon was a massive hallucination as she was dying. And then it followed her as a fucking ghost haunting people.
God, that is grim. That is grim.
I assume that story's dead as hell, but that could be funny.
Oh, hella fucking dead. We're talking, I read this story back in 2014.
That's cursed knowledge.
That's 11 years ago.
No, I don't think I could read that. I think that'd be sufficient. That would bum me out too much. That'd be sufficient to get me to be depressed for like a week. No,
That's why the author
it's a
stopped
bold
writing it.
take. Makes sense.
Well, here's
No.
the thing. That doesn't have to be depressing. You could absolutely make like Taylor the asshole version of Casper, right? Torturing Sophia into going insane.
Well, it's funny you say that because that's what her hero name was. She went around calling herself Casper.
Oh man.
I mean, I support that. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't have to be depressing. You can still, because this is something that people tend to forget, you can still have something be serious without being depressing.
Oh, see,
No,
I know
I
that.
Yeah.
I just like making it depressing as well.
No,
Yeah.
if I did that, it would have to be where she died. I wouldn't also have her hallucinate all of Worm. That's a little rough. Not only have to be in Worm, but to hallucinate it too. Oof. No, but no. Taylor's power in particular is because her dad didn't trigger. Her dad would have gotten rat control. Like unrestricted rodent manipulation. Which, oh my god, that's horrifying.
In Brockton Bay, on the East Coast, where there's all the rats in a big city.
And yeah, so horrifying power, even more so than bug control. Um Purely because I've seen what enough rats will do to a piece of meat. And I can viscerally imagine that.
That's not a fun image.
No, it's
Oh,
not.
listen. People make jokes about dire rats in D&D.
Oh yeah, no. Dire rats absolutely exist, and they're all in fucking New York.
Well, I mean, A, they are, but B, rats are no fucking joke.
They are not.
No.
No.
How big they can get.
They can chew
You
through
could also
metal.
make a Skaven joke, but we could also not do that. It sounds like a bad idea.
Well,
And
no,
it's
I'll be
funny.
perfectly honest. I've seen rats that probably were just Skaven. Those things get huge.
True. Yeah.
Just hear the
Well,
just,
rats are one of the many animal types that, much like goldfish, the same. They share the same species as koi. Alligators. There's a lot of species out there that actually don't have a determined size. Like, I mean,
if they get enough food, they just keep growing.
yeah, because I mean, like,
Food in
with
space.
humans, for example, humans can gain up to an extra foot if they eat really well and have the right genetics for it. And so you get some fairly massive people, but it's really not that big, because we're talking like, an extra 10-20% size increase. And that's like, okay, I mean, that's big, but like, if you look at things like koi that live for a really fucking long time, I mean, there's legends of lake-sized koi in Japan for a reason. Obviously, they didn't happen, but they got fucking boat-sized big. They got huge.
Sneaky, have you ever heard of river cat?
Yes.
Yeah, you get catfish that are like 20 feet long.
Yeah.
Especially in Southeast Asia.
That's what I'm saying. They got boat big.
Like, you could get a pond-sized koi easily.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
lake-sized
he's
koi
That's
is
what
not
we're
a
saying.
pond.
We said lake size didn't happen. Everything else did.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I suppose when you say boat size, I'm thinking like a dinghy, not like a boat.
No, I'm
No.
talking about... If I meant to say dinghy, I would say dinghy.
I just got a different idea.
What the fuck's a dinghy? When I'm thinking boat, I think a bass boat. Or even
Yes!
a big fucking boat.
That's what we
Stop
mean!
talking.
That's
bruh.
sorry.
By the Emperor, both of you need to turn your ears on.
Jesus Christ! Anyway, as I was saying,
Stop
they
holding
get
a
fucking
nose.
huge. Now,
Hey, come on
if
now, that's not fair. Nose
Hey,
hasn't
who
nosed
fuck-
all day.
Fuck
There's
you.
this-
Nose
There's
hasn't
one
nosed.
alligator.
I haven't done shit.
There's one
That's
alligator
what I'm
that's
saying.
like
You haven't nosed.
20 meters.
did
No,
one
it's not
earlier.
20 meters long. It was
Well,
15
they
meters.
don't-
I think
they
that's
don't
what it
get more
was.
than-
I mean, I did lose
Um,
two fucking
that-
elves within an
No,
hour, so that
15
sucked.
meters would be 45 feet. I don't think that's
Right,
an
no,
alligator
right.
anymore. There were crocodilians that big.
Right.
But alligators will
He-
die once they get too big. They'll kill themselves with their own body weight.
it was 15
but
feet. My bad. Is it 15 or 20
Yeah.
feet long? It's debated because we could never
Yeah.
catch the thing. But there was one alligator that ate like over 500 people, and was fed apparently thousands of bodies during a civil war. And this thing got so massive it would attack dinghies.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
no, I
the
found what you're
one that
talking
was.
about.
Yeah, the ninth. So no, this wasn't in Florida. This was in
No, it's
Africa.
in like Africa.
Yeah.
Um,
And what ended up happening is the local warlords of that area, they would each, whenever they
Well,
came to
Gustav.
power, yeah, they would claim they killed Gustav. Well,
yeah,
I was the one that did
they
it.
actually found AK bullets in his scales.
Yeah,
He was so effing big that the rounds actually got embedded in his body, and they had like photographs of him.
yeah,
And the reason he became a man-eater is he was actually so massive, he was too slow to catch normal prey.
yeah.
And people were the only thing slow enough and dumb enough to get close enough.
They were also
Um,
feeding him a lot of bodies, so, you know.
They were okay, so it's in that case, it's just learned behavior. I
Yeah.
didn't hear about that. I
It,
watched the
it's
documentary.
why
so
it's why he started attacking boats, is because they used to take the boats out into the river to dump a bunch of bodies after like a battle, and he would hang around the boat and eat the bodies up, and then he started attacking the
he got
boats because
used
he
to that
equated
as a
boats with food.
Yeah, well, no, specifically in reptiles, and especially in snakes, you have to be very careful if you condition them to certain responses to feeding time. It literally stimulates their feeding instincts.
Yeah.
So even if you have an animal that can be handled normally, and I doubt you could handle Gustav normally,
No,
they
no.
can become very aggressive if you stimulate their feeding instincts.
Yeah.
So
Is he still alive? I don't think so, but they can live a long time.
Yeah, they can live a
So
while.
they can live several hundred years, but the problem is they will necessarily die before then.
Yeah.
Crocodilians in general modern ones will crush themselves under their own body weight past a certain size. And that's assuming, just illness or hunger doesn't kill them. Because once they get as big as Gustav did, actually getting the calories they need is difficult.
Yeah. Well, it's like
Um,
I said here. Everyone keeps claiming that they were the ones that killed Gustav, but no one's willing to say how, where they found Gustav, or proof that they even did it. But yeah, people keep claiming in the area that they did it, or they saw it, or it happened. Totally, bro. Believe me. But however, that being said, is that I believe Gustav at this point is actually reaching the maximum age of a croc.
They can live up to 300 or so.
Shit like that, right? Because he's old. He's old.
So he's about.
70.
This says he was born in 1955.
I thought crocs could live like 100 years or something.
No.
Yeah,
So
they
a
can
maximum lifespan of
live.
estimated 50 to 60 years in captivity of a Nile crocodile. Like I said, they live a long
Gotcha.
time. Like, for animals, crocs live a long time.
When raised in captivity, saltwater crocs can live for up to 100 years.
Yeah, okay.
So what it is that the whole crocs are immortal thing is a myth. It's just they have ways of dealing with aging a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're harder to kill. I mean, there's photos of alligators in Florida during the cold snap where basically they would stop moving and stick their snouts right above the ice, and then they would just take really slow breaths until the ice melts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people just looking at them, just like, the
every
fuck you
2
looking at?
minutes.
Keep walking, bitch.
And so, I mean, yes, they they survive through a lot, and it does give the impression that they live, they're
I'm sorry.
basically immortal.
I'm sorry. I'm just imagining like a crocodile is like it does that, puts its nose above. Some dude comes along with some cotton balls.
Tickle, tickle, tickle.
No. Just keep shoving them in there, and then you've got yourself a pristine croc for the living room.
That's true. I mean, that's kind of a terrible way to kill something, but
Right?
Well,
yeah,
yeah, I
true.
know, but I was just like it's like the world's most terrifying Looney Tunes cartoon.
It's horrible. But point being, though, is 60 years is still very impressive for most species on the planet.
Especially a wild predatory animal.
Yeah. So point being, though, is that Gustav, if he was actually killed by someone, at this point in time, in the year 2025, is nearing his lifespan maximum.
I believe someone probably found like Gustav's body and then unloaded a mag of AK into him. And went, I killed him, and he.
It's still more crazy the fact that they actually have proof of them shooting this damn thing and the bullets bouncing off. That's more crazy.
Yeah, no, that's just how many layers of scales and how bulky this thing is. As I understand it, the in the documentary, the guy who they were questioning about it said, well, it could be as simple as poorly maintained weapon, poorly maintained ammunition.
Oh yeah,
It's not going to have
100%.
the full penetrative impact.
Yeah,
also,
no, yeah.
it's still a bullet. Like, oh my god,
Yeah.
I can't stop bullets, even crappy ones.
Yeah, it's like at the end of the day, it's like I threw a really big rock at the elephant, and the elephant's still running at me, and I'm kind of scared now.
I would like it to stop.
I tried throwing
Well, you
more
need a bigger
big
gun for
rocks at
that.
the elephant, and it's not working.
Boss, the elephant's still coming, boss.
So,
which is a real problem.
Boss.
Because elephants will kill you if they don't like you.
and then they'll ruin your funeral.
Yeah.
I'm glad
Remember
we all
that.
know.
Oh man.
But yeah, oh no, I really, the Gainesville, Florida croc alligator. That was a nice one. I saw that one actually. That thing is huge. That thing's crazy big. Yeah, 20 feet
speaking
long.
of
Big old
alligators,
boy.
What was the World War II massacre where a bunch of Japanese troops got eaten alive by gators or like crocs or something? Oh God, I can't remember his
News
name.
to me.
Oh, you're sure you're not
So
thinking of
what
Egypt?
happened was this was in Indochina, and there was this large mangrove swamp, and there was a U.S.
yeah, that'd do it.
fortification and a Japanese assault group. And so the Japanese decide to try and flank the U.S. position and assault through the mangrove swamp.
Didn't work out well for
The
them.
U.S. were in such a disarray because they had been attacked by basically a swarm of these crocs earlier. And like half the guys were literally hiding in the tops of these mangrove trees because that was the only way to get out of the reach of their jaws.
Yeah.
There were so many of them, and they were so ferocious that literally shooting at them would not make them go away. The Japanese waded into that in the middle of the night.
After the things are already blood mad, I'm sure. Because, by the way,
Pro gamer move.
I want to point out there are like 5 animals that actually have like blood berserker states.
Yeah, the battle
Humans
of
are one of them.
Yeah, humans are one of them. Yeah.
So I just want to remind you that the thing
Yes.
that's capable of biting through steel can also go ape mode.
Yeah, I mean, what's really funny about the Gainesville gator is
UK soldier.
he
American,
kind of
okay.
just chills, kind of just goes from golf pond to golf pond, wanders as he does. That damn thing's fucking massive. Let me
Let the man chill.
I remember one
Put
time I
pictures
was
in, dude.
I was down at Kiwa Island, which if you ever have the opportunity to go there, I highly recommend it. It's a fantastic place off of the Carolinas. Really fun place. The beach is awesome. Anyway, I was playing golf with my dad and my uncle, and
I think I know how this story ends.
I hit a ball over into the rushes,
Oh,
and
No, well, that ball's gone.
we heard a little bit of a noise. The rushes gave a little bit of a rustle, and then there was the big old plume of water. Like,
Nope.
oh, I was like, so then I turned to my uncle, my father, and I'm like, so how many strokes does the gator cost me?
3.
No,
Only-
the answer is
only
it
3,
costs
that's-
you. No, it costs you the standard 2, like
Like,
using it in water.
bruh.
But yes, no,
Brr.
that is. I want to be clear. I want to be really clear, guys. Golf has rules for that.
Of
No
course
one has
it
rules
does.
for
Golf
gator.
also
It
has
is-
rules for artillery bombardments.
Yeah, I was gonna say golf has rules for artillery bombardments. And I remember,
Airplane bombing.
I think one of my
Back from during
favorites.
the Blitz.
I think one of my favorite stories was that at one point, some people were playing golf in Africa, and a hippo took the ball, and they're like, "I guess we apply the gator rules."
You do not fuck
I
I
with
feel like
hippos.
there's probably like 2 British people that are just like, what do we call that? I just say,
You know the gator rule?
why
What
do you
the
say-
fuck
what
accent
is
was
that
that?
accent?
I don't know.
I do want to contextualize Ramree Island, by the way. You are some poor conscript hiding in a mangrove tree all night long, hearing the screams and gunfire of an entire Japanese assault group. 500 men dying as they are ripped to pieces and drowned by this mass of still hungry crocodiles.
You know what I'm gonna say?
No.
Yeah, glad I'm in a tree. And you know what? If a Japanese guy finds my tree, I'll be like,
Nope.
Brothers
Nope.
tonight.
Nope. Nope.
In fact,
No.
now
You
they're
find
still
your
hungry.
own.
The points
Well,
trench
see,
gun in his face. Well, you
the
have 2
other-
options here.
The other common misconception about a lot of reptiles is that they'll stop eating.
I remember hearing about this.
They don't?
Alligators don't have a sense of being filled or something. Or they don't. They
It's
can't
less they don't have a sense of being filled, and more that
their murder lust is ravenous.
their entire species propagated by waiting for food to come to them so they can strike at the right moment. So if a lot of food comes to them right now, that's food that might not come to them in the future, which means they need to eat it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they will gorge
They
themselves.
will eat.
There's actually many cases of crocs bursting their stomachs because of the amount of food present.
Are snakes doing the same thing trying to eat an alligator?
Yeah, because and the reptile was a very early DLC add-on of life, and there's a couple bugs still there.
Can we refund this one?
No.
No, unfortunately, it's now being packaged with the starter pack. It's
But nobody likes the DLC.
Too
yeah.
bad.
Look at the reviews from this dude named Adam. Something about a garden and an apple.
Yeah, it's
Right?
I mean, gators are
A talking
interesting.
snake? That's gotta be a bug.
Clearly
No,
needs
it's
to
a
be
feature.
patched out.
God looking at the past notes for the Garden Eden. What the fuck do you mean you put snakes in there? I didn't put snakes in there. Who the fuck put snakes in here?
It's like the
Who the fuck
Minecraft
gave you
patch
stick to
notes.
make it
Removed
talk?
snake from garden. Remove
the fuck do
snake
you
from
mean?
garden.
the
Remove
fuck do you
snake
mean?
from garden. Remove snake from garden. Because in anyone not aware, in Minecraft, whenever Notch put out patch notes, he would occasionally include removed Herobrine from the game in his
It
patch
was a
notes.
funny joke.
And then
It
got turned
is
into
a fun-
creepypasta.
True.
It was a funny joke, then
So,
Reddit found it.
But anyway, it is 10:16, so gentlemen, we did not get to the Harry Potter stories, so Kaz will be inordinately pleased with himself knowing that we will be starting with Harry Potter next time around on Friday.
Wait, no. We have something
No.
more important to start with.
If Nose shows
Darkest
up.
Dungeon, just to torture Nose.
Yes, if Nose
I'm
shows
sorry,
up.
why?
Because you asked for it.
Why?
Yeah,
You asked for it.
I didn't.
You asked for it.
When did
You
I
You
asked
ask?
asked
did.
for it.
No,
You
asked
literally
for it.
asked for it.
Yeah.
You asked for it.
We were all
Begging
there.
for it.
You were there for it.
So anyway, on Friday, come back at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because there is